broke his arm falling out of a forklift.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask.
Just didn't put it down to or he put it down to stop his fall and then...
No. Oh, yeah, he must have, yeah. He,
Just clumsy. I don't know.
he reckons he got his foot stuck or something. Got his foot stuck and just fell out of a forklift. If you ask me, it's probably the most embarrassing thing.
Yeah, it's probably the worst way you can break your arm.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get started if yous are all good.
Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Welcome to the Smokers Lounge. It's episode 62.
Ooh, yeah, it is too, actually.
Yeah, it's your boy Il Doc.
It's your boy Bliss.
And we are joined here today by the one and only Johnipee.
Hello.
Thanks for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me.
It's all good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm, just... I don't know. It's been an interesting couple of months, but
yeah,
you know,
it has.
Surviving.
Has it affected you a lot, or
it's probably been like in my day job where I do disability care. So like in that job, the first role I had closed down because we would pretty much take like kids into the community and play basketball and go to the movies and all that sort of stuff that they decided to like close down. I remember that day on the news and they were like, here's the list of stuff you can't do. And I was like, that's my job. I was like, fuck. So then they pretty much were like, without saying it, like work just disappeared. And then like after a while I was like, well, I'm going to find another job because fuck these guys. Yeah. Found another job. And then, it's just sort of been off and on.
Has that picked up since though?
Now? Like there's always been like care like in the house, like because right now I like go to people's houses and help them out with just like their daily stuff that they can't do because I've got clients that are quadriplegics, clients that have had strokes and all sorts, so you just like help them out with their daily stuff, so they always need help regardless, so that's good, that keeps me busy. But it's it's been interesting, man. Like the way I see it though, you've got to sort of just like take it and run with it. Like if shit hits the fan and you just got to make the most out of it. So I'm like, well, it's a blessing in disguise. If I don't have as much work now, cool, I've got more time for music. I've got more time to sleep in. Like it's pretty nice. Like the majority of my mates that are like my age, like they're like 28, they're like got 4 kids and they're like held down by a mortgage and car repayments and whatever, and I'm like, nah, sleep in, write some music, do my thing, chase my dreams,
Yeah, that's it.
So I can't complain.
How long have you been doing the caring work?
Caring was, when did it kick off? So I was on tour with Bliss and Esso, and a guy came up to me in the crowd after the show, and I thought he was whacked out on drugs, but it turned out he had cerebral palsy, and I just didn't know. And I was like, I'm not gonna say anything because you meet some interesting characters. I was like, I'm just gonna listen to this guy. And Alex, if you're listening, what's up? He knows, it's all good. We're best of mates. But I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm going to hear this guy out and listen to this conversation. And then by the end of it, like I was like, all right, bro, like sort of started to understand what he was saying. It was just hard to understand his speech. Yeah. He hit me up on Messenger after and obviously completely talking to me like super fast, everything like that. I'm like, oh, bro, and I'm so sorry if I was rude. Like I didn't understand what you were saying. But I'm the sort of guy that will always give people like the time of day. So I was just like, yeah, cool. And then through there, he had told me about this organisation in Sydney where he had been involved with. And then a friend of mine happened to also say, oh, I had a friend that worked there. And I was like, you know what? Because I was personal training and sort of like, I don't know, I was starting to get over it because I was paying like 20 grand a year to work in the gym. It was like a franchise situation in Sydney. It was good. It was good money. Like when all I did was PT, I was on mint money, everything was awesome. But then when music like hit me in like 2015, I was like, I'm just going to do this. Then obviously the money started going more into music and my time was less caring about PT and blah, blah, blah. So I ended up getting a job working in disability, and then I became a personal trainer in disability and just did a heap of stuff. But it's been like since maybe 2017 now. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it when I moved back to Perth, but I was just like, all gyms want the same thing. They all want you to pay a fortune to work there, and I couldn't be stuffed starting my own business again. I was like, I'd done that. It takes you like a few years to build an actual business, and I was like, I just want to work on music, and I want something that I can do casually on the side that will pay the bills. Like I don't really want to just be like on JobKeeper and having to apply. Like I know a lot of guys that have gone that route and that are super successful now, and they're like, that's what I've done, and I get that. But I think for me, like when I've actually got less time, I'm more productive. Like if I've got like a whole day, I'm like, I'll do some music, I'll go to the gym, I'll do this. But then it's like, fuck, I've done like, I've written a song maybe, but I'm like, man, on the days where I've got like an hour or two, I'm like, and I just get a heap of shit done.
Yeah, I guess the busier that you are as well. I mean, so your brain's working.
Yeah, you're stimulated, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you're stimulated. Sure. Your thoughts are sort of, you're not just, like you said, sitting around at home looking at the same shit all day, trying to get some kind of inspiration.
Get some motivation,
I feel like when you stop, your thoughts start to stagnate, and you lose that, creative spark or whatever.
Definitely.
It's that balance, eh?
Yeah.
It's trying to have the balance of having the time to sort of have, because you need, in order to create, you need time, really. Yeah. So you do need that time, but I think sometimes if you're doing something you don't enjoy as much, you're like, fuck, I wish I could be doing that. So you're doing the thing you sort of like, and it's making you hungrier for the thing you really love.
Yeah. Definitely. So, I think I probably come up with most of my lyrics and stuff when I'm at work.
Yeah.
Just because I'm, zone out or whatever, I'll be doing something, I'll be, like you say, I'll be doing something I don't really want to be doing, so I'm, thinking of how I can fucking
how can I get out of this? Yeah.
Yo, I fucking hate my job.
Bro, that's why I wrote Thank God for the Radio, which ended up doing pretty well. And it was when I was 19, I was living in North Perth, and I was an apprentice. What was I doing? Sheet metal fabrication. I was building buses. And I was in some factory. I was 19, earning $7.75 an hour. And I was it was $300 a week, with overtime. Holy and I was just sitting there, and I'm the sort of dude that if it's a nice day, I want to be out in it.
Yeah.
I want to be going for a run, going for a ride, training, I don't know, sweating, just being at the beach, surfing, whatever it is. And so I'm sitting in this warehouse, covered in dust, and fuck this, what am I doing? And then Triple J was the only thing that was played on the radio, and half the time it was trash, but then half the time there was a bit of rap and stuff, or Hilltop Hoods would get a feature album or something, or Bliss and SO, and I'd be fuck yeah. And then I wrote that because of that, and then I was I just hope I can get out of this job. And then a year later or something, I was in Sydney making 120 an hour, and I was yeah boy, it's good, eh? Times changed.
Have you always been a Perth boy?
Yeah, I was here till I was 20. I think I left 2012 I left Perth.
How long were you, and you went straight to Sydney?
Went straight to Sydney, yeah.
How long were you in Sydney for?
7 years, six or 7 years.
Was there a reasoning behind that, or just a bit of change of scene?
Funny you should ask, sir. So there was my uncle got shot in a home invasion in Newcastle.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He had apparently been a bit of a ladies' man back in the day, and had slept with some kid's grandma. Because he was that sounds really fucked. He was my great uncle. So he was old. He was 70 something. But when he was I think he was 80 or something when he got shot. But he was the sort of dude that was an 80-year-old that was built and still went to the gym. He was cool dude.
Yeah.
And is my grandpa's brother. And so he was a big part of the family, and he'd always come over to Perth and visit us, and he'd drive the car like a freaking hoon, and just he was just a cool guy. But anyways, he'd apparently upset some kids, some old guy. And anyways, some night his grandson decided to rock up to his house with the sawn off and shoot him.
Fuck.
Yeah, he was on meth or something, and had realized that oh fuck him, I know this guy, blah blah blah, I'm gonna go belt him, and he shot him a meter away, and my uncle survived.
Holy.
And so he was in a nursing home sort of thing for 6 or 7 years. He's passed on now, but he was fine for a while, and I was fuck, I'm gonna go visit him. I want to go I want to see this guy.
The Terminator.
Yeah, it was hectic. Yeah. And then on top of that, there's this girl who I'd seen for years, who childhood sweethearts, high school, dated and whatever. And then I don't know, I just sort of felt it wasn't working out, whatever. And I thought if I broke up with her, maybe she'd get her shit together. And I don't know, her dad lived in Sydney, so I was part of me was thinking if I broke up with her, maybe she'd leave Perth, and maybe she'd just wasn't trying to puppet manipulate the situation. But I sort of in the back of my mind was this would be better for her, because in Perth she's just not doing too much. Maybe she'll move, and maybe she'll start achieving some big shit, and that'd be good for her. And anyway, so she ended up moving to Sydney, and her dad lived in the suburb where I ended up moving to. So I sort of rocked up to visit my uncle in Newcastle, saw him. My mum was over there, my auntie was over there. We all saw him. And then I hopped on a train to Sydney with my backpack, and then just rocked up and was hey to her. And she was like, hey. And she like dumped the dude she was seeing, and I moved in. And then I ended up living in Sydney for like 7 years. Yeah, it was hectic.
That's wild.
It's a crazy story, but like, yeah. And then, you know, me and her didn't work out and whatever, but I ended up staying there and I became a PT, and then, yeah, met the Bliss and SO boys, and everything sort of just like went from there.
How did the Bliss and SO connection come about?
So I was, I had no idea what I was going to do when I got to Sydney. I was pretty much like...
Just winging it?
Yeah, like there's a new song that we're putting out soon which pretty much tells the whole story. But yeah, I was like, had done every trade in Perth. Nothing had ever... Like, I was like, I just don't want to do this. Like, I'd seen sort of where my life was going. You know, get married young, have kids, get a house that I can't afford, get a car I can't afford. And I was just like, I know I've got passions. I want to like tap into my passions, but I never thought music was like an attainable thing. But I rocked up to Sydney, was like, fuck, I'll just do whatever. I started selling phones at Crazy John's when they were still open. Wow. So everyone would walk in.
Old school, man.
Bro, the amount of, I'm getting old. The amount of people that were like, are you actually Crazy John? like every fucking day. And I'm like, if one more person, and like sometimes I'd plan and be like, yeah, I am. So I can do a deal for you. Like, what do you want? Go into the back room that's like the size of a cupboard and be like, I'll talk to the manager, and then like come back and sell them the phone.
You're having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, legit. I sold a blind person a phone. It's quite bad. But the thing was, I managed to get the font big enough and invert the colors and shit so she could see it. And her and her husband, because all my mates used to hang shit on me for that. They were like, you fucking sold a blind person a phone, you dog. And I was like, no. Like, they actually loved me. They asked for my number. They wanted me to go to their house for dinner. They were so happy. You've changed the way we can communicate with people. Thank you so much. And I was like...
It'd be different if she rocked up and wasn't trying to buy a phone. And I was trying to buy a razor
I'm trying to buy some groceries. And you like pull her in and you're like, here, touch this as a braille thing for like... Anyways, she was lovely. Anyways... Long story short, ended up doing a bunch of different jobs. I'd lost a heap of weight, and all my mates were like, why don't you become a PT? Why don't you work in a gym? And I applied for this role at the Fitness First, which was like just down the road, like a 5-minute walk, if that. And I stupidly assumed like, oh yeah, I'll just apply for this job and I'll just become a PT. I didn't realize you had to study and shit. I got a job in sales. So I was one of those guys that was... walking around like, hey, would you like to come to Fitness First? Blah, blah, blah. Like, but it was cool because it was a city that I didn't know anyone there. So I was like, I don't give a fuck if I'm going to run into anyone. I don't care if people are going to say yes or no, like whatever. Like, whereas if I was walking around like where I grew up, I'd be like, oh, and they'd be like, oh, look at John fucking, you know, handing out
trying
shit.
to hide your face.
You know what I mean? So like Sydney was awesome for that. And that's why I think I bloomed so much. I blossomed so much there because I just like, I didn't give a fuck. So I did super well in sales, ended up becoming a PT, did all my qualifications and knocked them on the head. And then, I was training one day and I was like, I've always had like an eye for like the Aussie hip hop dudes. Like I'd be at like a 360 show when I was younger and like in the corner I'd be like, that's fucking Draft. I'm gonna go say hi to Draft. And I'm like, hey man. And then like, he'd be like, oh, hey bro. Like, you know, this is before I actually knew him. And hey man, how are you? And then like, you know, because I'd seen him, then everyone else realised who it was, and then like a line formed, and I was like, I'm so sorry. You're trying to have lunch, I'm so sorry. But like Bliss walked in and I was like, what the does fucking Bliss and SO? Oh, crazy. And, you know, being a kid, I'd gone to like 1 million of their shows here, and like, I wasn't a massive, like, he hung shit on me for this the other day. He's like, didn't you say on a podcast that like, you hated us when you first heard us? And I was like, no, what I said was I wasn't like the biggest fan. Like I was like a Hilltop Hoods guy growing up, and like Draft and like Seth Sentry and stuff. And then like my cousin was a massive Bliss and SO fan, but I didn't really get it because like I've never really smoked weed much. Done it a couple of times, sorry mum. But you know, like it wasn't, I couldn't relate to it as much. It was sort of more abstract and trippy. And
I was going to say they are very like
about butterfly wings sort of, and you know, like, and it's cool. And I froth them now. Like I ended up buying the Flying Colours album, and like, you know, it's like, Daddy, who lives down the end of Destiny Lane, all that sort of shit. I was like, yes, I froth on this. Like I get it. And it was cool because it was American and Australian, so it was sort of like a bit of, you know, we all grew up on the American shit, and then, you know, we sort of went the Australian way. But yeah, I didn't relate to it as much because like Hilltop Hoods never really like would rap about smoking weed. It was more so just like
partying,
life, partying stuff. But then it was like that, you know, chase that feeling, like inspiration sort of stuff you'd listen to when you're going for a run or like, and then anyway, so it took a longer time for me to come around to like them, but now I've got like a personal connection with them, so their music means a lot more to me now. Yeah. But anyways, he walked in and like I've said this story a few times, it's quite funny and Bliss probably thinks I'm a wanker for this, but wasn't listening to them at all. I'm listening to like Nas in the headphones training or whatever, and I was like, oh, just fucking Bliss and Meso on Spotify. I walked up and I was like, bro, hey, and he was like, hey, and then like we sort of like, you know, just started chatting. So whenever he was in the gym, I'd say hi, and like, you know, it's that awkward thing of you don't want to be like, oh, I'm a massive fan, and, you know, like I just want to say like your music's helped me, or you know, like it's cliche and it happens a lot. And now it happens to me, and you're like, but you just appreciate it because you're like, fuck, that's the reason I do this. So yeah, we just had like this sort of relationship of just whenever he was in the gym, say hi, whatever. And then I ended up deciding to pursue music in 2015, and I got a text message from him. He was like, hey bro, it's Bliss, best of luck with your first show. And I was like, fuck, like I was like, whoa man, like it was such a spin out, because my mate was his trainer at the time, and he had said, oh, here's John's number, like, because Bliss was like, oh, is he rapping? And I was like, and he's like, yeah. So he sort of sent me a text, and I was like, fuck, that's cool. And so like my first show in 2015 was in a little place called Laundry Bar in Melbourne, which is still going. It's like in Fitzroy, and it's like a little venue, but it was cool.
It's quite infamous, that place.
I've heard a lot of places. I think B&E played there for like New Year's one time. Like you can pack it out, but when I rocked up there, you know, it's like my first gig with a dude called Fritz, who doesn't even rap anymore, and then Deno, who's a pretty well-known DJ in Melbourne, and he's still, whenever I play shows in Melbourne, he's my guy. He's like my adopted DJ dad. He's so cool. So we rocked up and played this set there under the name of Two Guys, One Cut. That's what he said. He's like, that's gonna, like, we can't put Johnipee, Fritz, and Deno. That's too long. So, and I was like, what have you called us? And he's like, Two Guys, One Cut. I was like, that's fuck's sake, like. And so that was hilarious. But Bliss gave me like a props on the gig, and it was, you know, 20 people, and I forgot every line I had and started rapping the wrong song, and you know, just first time on stage really. And then from there, when my mate who was his PT moved on, I became his PT, and then we just hung out like every day, and our friendship grew, and you know, sort of that's when he was like, oh, we've got a tour. Got a tour starting in Adelaide on Friday, and this is on like Tuesday, and I was like, sick man, like how many people are you expecting, and like what's the venue like, and blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, like we're playing at the Gov, like should be, you know, a couple of 1,000 people, first show of the tour, like it's just a small tour, but it'll be cool. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. And then I went home, and then like the next night he messaged me, and he's like, bro, do you want to like open for us in Adelaide on Friday? And I was like, what? Like I'd played one show. But he obviously knew like I carried myself with the way that my one show was like, I'm good. Like, you know, like I'm really good at fake it till you make it. So I think that sort of probably rubbed off, and he was sort of like, oh, like, yeah, he'll be right. Yeah, he'll figure it out. When I was like, fuck. So he's like, yeah, do you want to open for us in Adelaide on Friday? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like everything was in my head was like, fuck no, like you're not ready. Yeah. But I was like,
you can't
I was like, yeah, bro, no, of course, man, dream come true. Thank you so much. Yeah. Didn't have enough songs, didn't have a DJ, didn't have anything. Like ended up finding DJs in every city on the day via Facebook, just like networking with people. Hey, who can do? Because like if you're like, I'm doing a B&E show, some guys like, fuck yeah, gonna do it. Yeah. Like don't even worry about paying me, just like let's go. And I'm like sick, because I had no money, and my girlfriend at the time paid for my flights and shit. And then you know, it was crazy, man, but yeah, managed to make it work. And then from then it's sort of just, that was just like the taste. I sort of got the reverse treatment to what most people do, whereas most people will play, you know, the small gig, and then you might get a support slot with a big artist or something like that. You were straight. Whereas I just got golden ticket, boom, just like, you know, kid not even from Sydney, just Perth kid rocks up and then gets put on the thing, and you know, and everyone's still, it's funny, people still today are like, oh, like when are we seeing you again? Like they think I'm still in Sydney, like that. No one's keeping track of where I am. But that just was like crazy. So then it was hard. I had like the opposite thing when I'd go back from playing a show like that, a couple of 1,000 people, and your energy's off the roof. And I was trash when I did that tour. I was so bad. Like my stage time was like under an hour. Like I'd had no time on stage, no experience. I was just good at talking shit to a crowd, and I'm fun in front of people, and I get energized from people. So I pulled it off somehow, thank God. And didn't choke as much. I was so nervous, man.
I was going to say,
oh my God.
That's the last thing you want, just to fucking completely, like, fuck it.
Well, it was make or break, really. That's the way I saw it. I was like, this is like a huge, like, once in a lifetime opportunity. Fucking don't screw this up. And like the start of the Adelaide show, I was like literally like legs like this backstage, and I remember like slapping myself in the face and was like, fucking come on, you got this. Like, and then just went out probably way over the top with energy. But that was how I made it work.
Yeah. How many people ended up being there in the end?
I think it was a couple of thousand. Yeah, it was a pretty packed room. And it was like spilling out into the back, like beer gardens. They were chockers and then after that, because I thought it was just that show. And then Bliss is like, nah, bro, like the boys liked you. And I networked, like every time I play a show, I network like crazy. So by the end of the night, everyone there knows who I am. Like I've made connections with people that I need to make connections with. Like I treat every gig as like, it's not I'm there to watch the artist. It's like, I'm there to meet everybody.
It's like a business opportunity.
100%. Like even if you're filming the artist on stage, you tag them. You tell them how well they did. And it's not to be false and to be like, look, I'm manipulating the situation. It's like, no, I actually like what you did. I'd like to work with you at some point. If you see that I'm giving you props, you're going to be like, hey, who's this guy? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
It's genuine.
Yeah, it's all authentic. If I don't fuck with someone's music, I'm not going to be like, hey man, loved your set. Like it's people that I see opportunity with working together, and I think that we'll probably fit well together as like mates or whatever it is. Yeah. But yeah, so that was crazy. And then he's like, oh, do you want to play Brisbane? Do you want to play Sydney? Do you want to play Melbourne? Do you want to play Goldie? Like I was like, fuck, like. And it was just cool, man. Like, especially being the kid from Perth who, like, I think the first time I'd left the state was like, I was like 16 or something with my old girlfriend from when I was a kid. And we like traveled over to Sydney to visit her dad. And that was like, oh man, we're overseas. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy when you like first leave Perth. And I've got mates that still haven't left Perth. And I'm like, bro, just get out there, man. Because it opens your fucking mind.
It does.
I love Sydney. I've only been once, but... Yeah, I loved it.
It's a cool place, man. Like, I've still, because we moved back because we had a car accident, and that's pretty much why I came back to Perth. It was a hectic, like, it wasn't meant to happen. We'd had a place locked in Sydney. Everything was all going good. I also figured though, like, it's 2020, so like, if I picked a good time to come back, coronavirus and all that sort of shit. But the cost of living over there and everything like that's crazy. And if you've got like an internet connection, really, you're all right. Yeah. If you've got somewhere you can record, like kids are making tracks off their iPhones. Yeah. Oh, you know what I mean? Like you don't need, like if a label was like, hey, we need you here because we want you, we want to sign you, we want this, we want that. Cool. I'll move back. No worries. But right now I'm like, man, Perth's given me so many good things. Like Perth, like it's such a like underrated place.
It is.
Oh, it is definitely.
I think when you're younger, you get caught up in the whole like people shit on it a bit, and when you get older, you sort of grow to appreciate it.
Man,
yeah.
But in saying that, you have to like. That's when you leave. Once you've gone somewhere else, you might come back appreciate it.
Yeah,
if you stay in Perth your whole life, you're gonna.
You have no perspective if you're here always. You just think this is what it is, and then you go to like a third world country, and you're like, fuck. The fact that I'm even in Australia. I'm lucky as fuck. Like the scummiest place in Australia compared to like the nicest place to oversee. Like you're still like, come on, we're so lucky, man. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. What you were saying about like your like networking and stuff, I've noticed that you're very what was the word I came up with? Prevalent. Is that it?
I think so.
On like your social media. So like Instagram, for example, you're always on your stories. Bro. Yeah.
Nah. They
is that something that you've like like consciously taken on, or is that just something you've always been quite like what's the word? Like, you'll just do it for the fun of it, or is it something that you think you need to do for the social media aspect of,
Pretty much, like, since if you look back at like old home videos of me, is like my uncle got like a webcam when we were like super young. He had like the Logitech, like the pimp one back in the day that you could like just tap video record on. I was doing Snapchat before Snapchat was a Snapchat. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was the one like miming to songs and doing dumb shit with my cousins like as early as I can remember doing. So it's like for me on social media, having like, I remember when Instagram came out with stories, I was like, fuck. I was like, oh, now I'm not going to use Snapchat. And then like I just went ham on Instagram. Like that's just who I am. Like if I'm cooking something in the kitchen, I'll put on like feeling hot, and then just fucking like dance around flipping pancakes and shit. Like it's just how it is. And I think I remember I had a conversation with Smizzy, who was in. Do you guys know Smizzy? No. So he was in a group called Mind Over Matter, like who were pretty big. Like it was Esso's cousin and Smizzy.
Yeah,
they're not around
Mind Over
anymore.
Matter toured with Bliss and Esso when they came over, eh?
So and I only met Smizzy once. I'll just call him Marty because Smizzy's such a funny name. I'm like, why do you go? His name was Smiles originally in Mind Over Matter. But when I met him, he was known as Smizzy, and he was running this competition called the Rewrapped Comp, where a guy who was on the album had passed away from suicide. So they were re-releasing the album with a spare spot for artists, and then you sent in an entry, and if you got in, you got on that song with Smizzy.
Yeah.
So because of that, I met like Joey Maker and Clue and Martian and all those guys who we did the Four Fins thing with and whatever. But I was chatting to Smizzy, and he was like, bro, the only way you're going to make it in music in Australia is like you have to be best friends with everyone at Triple J, or you have to be really good at social media, or both. So I was like, all right, well, social media is it.
Yeah.
Like, especially if I was living in Perth and hadn't been in Sydney, like because of my network in Sydney, I know the people at Triple J now and whatever. And like even the fact that I'm friends with people at Triple J, it's like, it doesn't really mean much because they have to still want to put your music on. It's not that just because you're buddies with someone, you're going to get on. But it's like, obviously, if you're getting radio play on Triple J and you're on rotation, like, you're doing well. If you've got a song on rotation, you're going to be up there.
Yeah.
And if Triple J decide to take you under their wing, like they've done with like Illy or whatever, like you're sorted. Like you're always going to have festival slots. You're always going to be, you'll be up there. But he was like, social media's the other way, man. And really, like, that's how I built my following. Really, it was just like when I first started chucking little. When I look back and I see the memories on my personal Facebook, because I didn't have a page back then either. I was just releasing it on my personal page, and like little raps that I'd recorded and stuff. I was like, man, I was so bad. But I'm so glad that people didn't, shit on me from the start, and they were like, we can see this has potential, for something. Yeah. And I'm glad, because as much as you can be like, oh, I don't care what people say, it's like if someone in the early stages, especially if you don't have that belief in yourself,
it can kill your confidence.
And I think I've always been the sort of person that would do it regardless, or I do it in spite of that. I'd be like, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Like I'm gonna specifically forge a rap career because some guy from the Maldives said I was a fuckwit. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think that's just me. Being weird. And there's a thing I posted on my story the other day about how being weird is what makes you stand out. Yeah. Like being like most musicians I know, there's something with us.
Yeah, quirky.
We've got fucking ADD, or we've got something that makes us like we didn't fit into the normal box at school.
Or they're too weird.
Yeah.
And they're and they fuck underage kids. But for the most part, quirky is.
Or they're in jail. So it's a little mix. But I think there's always something interesting about us, but the interesting people are the people that you remember. Yeah. And they were saying that they're the people that get the jobs over someone else because they're just interesting. Yeah. Like I remember my resume when I rocked to Sydney was like full like aqua green, like hell, like stood out like a motherfucker. And the photo was me like with like a chain on and shit. And I got every job I applied for. Like, I was like, don't write black and white shit on paper. Like, fucking stand out. Yeah. And I don't do it to be like, like look at me standing out. I'm juggling balls of fire. Like, I'm like, you just fucking be yourself, but ham it up a little bit if you want.
Yeah. Social media definitely, like what you were saying, people who are quirky and different obviously stand out from the rest. And social media is such a huge part of like any arts industry in this day and age that like Gary Vee says it all the time. Like if you're not capitalizing on Instagram stories or TikTok or Twitter or whatever, then you're basically doing it wrong.
You're wasting your time. But there's just so much competition out there. Like I've always had the mindset of like keep your blinders on. Like don't worry about what anyone else is doing because they're doing their best version of them. Yeah, I'm doing my best version of me. So why would I worry about what someone else is doing? Because we don't rap about the same shit. We have different life stories. Like, so the quote I heard the other day was like 7 billion people today had a different experience of what today was. And I was like, Like every single person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we go part, we're at the servo filling up the car. The guy next to us is there. You like look at him for a second. You're like, I don't know anything about him.
I always think that,
You know?
Yeah, you like even just going to the shops and shit, and it's like almost every day you'll see someone you've never seen before.
100%.
You could go to the same shops every single day,
Yeah.
and there'd be people you've never seen
You
before.
could walk
and
past
it's like,
a serial killer and never know it.
yeah.
Unless they stand out.
Yeah,
unless
well,
they,
unless they stand
unless they got
out,
like
yeah.
dreads and like, you know, yellow hair or
Yeah.
something. You're like, oh, there's that dude with yellow hair.
Yeah.
Like, but I think that as well, like when I'm driving my car, how many people I know I'm like passing past that I don't know it's them because I'm not looking in their car.
Yeah.
Like it's
Very true.
That's why I wrote that cover song. It was like, you know, you never see, like the video clip for that is going to pretty much have like a list above everyone's head of the shit they've dealt with.
Yeah.
Because it's like the guy at the servo next to you in the Beamer. You're like, oh, fucking all right, Mr. Fancy Pants. But it's like, wife just left him.
Yeah.
Kid died of cancer.
Yeah.
But like, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you don't fucking know what's going on in anyone's world. So
Yeah.
I think it's just important to, I don't know, do the best you can and just try and focus. Like, don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Just keep the blinders on and just like go gung ho focused. And I can't remember what we were talking about, but that's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy, eh? It is insane to think that, everyone out there is just living their own life with their own story, own background, their own childhood, like memories and shit. Like,
Your view of the world's all shaped by all of that. Like, yeah,
it's fucking nuts. So obviously you're a PT into your fitness and stuff. I saw on your social media the other day you were riding your bike and you got a pop tire.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was a dumb one.
How long you been riding? Because didn't you do something stupid?
I did like 136k. It was meant to be 160, and then I didn't pack a spare.
Well, at once.
Yeah,
that's fucking.
I rode
insane.
from Wembley to Mandurah, and then 3/4 of the way back.
Do you not feel tired? I mean, you're
Fuck,
obviously
I rode
fit.
around the corner to my granddad's the other day and nearly died, and it
I
took
was
me
gonna
10
say,
minutes.
I'm not fit at all. I do like to think that if I'm on a bike, I'll definitely be able to do more than what I could running. But 130 k's, man, that's insane.
It's all because of the freaking Corona time, man. Like the gym was closed, and I was like, fuck me, like what am I gonna do? Like I didn't want to go. Like I was like, oh, maybe I just go down to the park. Like I'll find like a playground. I'll just do chin ups and push ups, whatever. Just do something to maintain what I've got. And
Just
then,
go on the swing.
wee, push me. Well, not technically if you're like kicking, with your legs on the swing, it's like leg extensions. But then they closed that down too. And they're like, no playgrounds. Let's put crime scene tape around them. I was like, cool.
No
I can do nothing.
They just went around looking for everything fun,
Legit.
basically, and putting caution tape
Let's
on
take the shade cloths off the fucking playgrounds as well, so it's gonna rain on them. But so I ended up buying a bike. I bought like this mountain bike, which was apparently like I got in at a good time because apparently everyone else bought up every other bike, and it was like the last one of this type in Australia. Like everyone just went bike nuts, and I think you saw it for a while. Hey, it was just like families on bikes everywhere. Like good to see it. Like families walking the dog, and like the mum and the dad and whatever. Like so, it was like cool. But I ended up buying this bike, and then like I got family out in like Ellenbrook, so I like rode the mountain bike to Ellenbrook and was like, oh, that was like 90k. It's like fuck, that's cool. Like I didn't have like a perception of like how far kilometers were because I was just you're driving in the car. I'm not like I haven't really been a runner. Like I've always gone to the gym, or played basketball or something. So there's nothing that I've done that's like, oh yes, a 90 kilometer ride's quite good, or 50 kilometers is respectable. This kilometer, this speed is good. I didn't know, so I just downloaded that app, the Strava app, and just like started just recording my rides and chucking headphones on and seeing what I could do, and then like doing dumb shit like riding to Mouchet. I bought this road bike and then rode to Mouchet with like 1 bottle of water. And I didn't have like the clip in, like I don't wear Lycra and shit. I'm not one of those guys yet, but I just
Are you on the road?
Yeah, now I am. Before I was on like the mountain bike, so I would just like hop between the road and the footpath, like depending on how many cars are on the road. I always have lights on the bike and shit, so I try and be as safe as I can, but I don't want to be that guy. Like I'm always very aware, like I'm on a fucking bike. Like if a car hits me, I'm gone. Also, I'm not paying a license fee to be on the road, so I'm just gonna like let the cars do their thing. Like I'll always give them the right of way. I'm like I'm not the one like pedaling in the middle of the lane. I'm like fuck's sake, like there's so many wankers. So I ended up riding to Mouchet on this road bike that I bought off Gumtree. It was like a $2,000 bike that I managed to get for like $700.
Bad.
So I like rode to Mushay, but didn't have the clipless shoes on. So I just had like, you know, the little tiny pedals that come when you get the clipless shoes. So I just had my normal shoes on those. Like, and so there was nothing for me to clip my shoes into. I just had my feet resting on them and just pedaled to Mushay and back. And then I was like, fuck yeah. And every time I've done it, I've never had a spare. I've just always just gone. Like, I'm just like, fuck it, whatever. God. I'll pump the tires up. Worst case, I'll get a really expensive Uber. That'll teach me to bring a spare. I was just like, fuck it. And then so when I did this ride to Mandurah, like I wasn't meant to ride to Mandurah. I just wanted to do...
No one's meant to ride.
True. I just wanted to beat what I had done before, which was 125k to Mushay and back. And then I was like, I just want to beat that. And I was like, fuck, I'll do 200Ks. And then I was like, oh, maybe that's a bit too much. I was like, maybe I'll do 150. And then by the time I got to Mandurah, I was like, fuck, I've already done 80. All right, 160, let's do that. And so like met this couple down there that were having a coffee and they're having a chat to me. And they're like, oh, have you got like a spare, like in case? Like you're pretty far from home. And me, stupidly enough, was like, oh, no, like I've never had a flat tire. Like, don't worry about it.
You
and
spoke
I knew
it
as I
into
said that, I was
existence.
like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And then I like knocked on wood and everything as I said. I was like, you're a dumbass, John. And then I ended up getting like all the way back through Freo. And then just all of a sudden I was like, fuck, I'm feeling all the bumps on the front of the tire. What's going on? And there was a giant chunk of glass in it and it was fucked. And luckily for me, one of my best mates works in Freo. I was like, bro, are you around? He's like, yeah. And he's got like freedom to sort of like nick off during the day. So he just picked me up, threw the bike in the ute and took me home.
Fuck.
So 136, I think. 136 Ks. One
That's
off my
insane.
favourite number. I was like, bullshit, I could have finished on 137. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Corona time turned me into like a nutter. Like the fact that I do cardio for fun now, I'm like, what's wrong with me?
Do you not feel sore? Do you not get home with like a sore ass and shit?
No, like my seat, the seat I've got now is like this physique seat, which is like a super expensive seat, which is like literally like wood. It's so firm, but you're meant to have a firm seat. A firm seat's better over long distance than a soft one.
Yeah.
So a soft one, apparently, because your skin can fold, like it's sort of too cushiony.
Oh, yeah.
So like your skin gets little pinches and folds and then you end up with a sore ass. But man, riding a bike, I literally could do it forever. But like if you ask me to run 20Ks, I'd be like, whoa, it's going to be a hard one. Like I'll do it, but I'm going to be way slower and I'm going to be sore as fuck the next day.
Yeah.
But riding a bike, man, like you cut out so much. Like you're not using the same muscles. There's no real balance involved. It's just do.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised. And then when the gyms finally opened, I went back to the gym and did legs and was like, fuck, it's a different thing.
Yeah,
like I was like riding wise, all good, bulletproof. Then back in the gym doing squats and my legs are fucking like giving way like a newborn giraffe. I was like, fuck. But it was, yeah, the fact that I do that for fun now is just very weird to me.
Are you tired of your dirty old busted up sneakers?
I know I am.
Why don't you do yourself a favour and get a brand new pair just like these?
Everything from your retro Nikes and Jordans all the way to your Grateful Dead SBs, the rare exclusive shits.
Why wait weeks on end to have your shoes shipped all over the world when you could get them from a local provider right here in WA?
I can personally vouch. I bought a pair off my man. I had him here within 2 days. And that's because work commitments. So he couldn't come the day prior to that. But your man's early. Hit him up.
That's it. Reliable. They're fresh. They're exclusive. They're brand new. They're clean. Everything you want. Hit them up. D Sneakers on all social media platforms. That's DEESNKRS. Can't go wrong. Hit them up. Have you ever thought about getting your bits pierced?
Well, from personal experience.
Whoa. No. Not for this one.
Alright.
If you do want to get yourself pierced, you can head over and see Moose Body Piercing.
Located at Ink Testament on Beaufort Street. She's safe, sanitary,
Sterile, clean.
good to talk to.
She's a good chat. Lots of banter. But most of all, she's professional. She knows what she's doing. So, yeah, if you fancy getting your ears pierced, your nose pierced, your fucking whatever you want.
You want to get a fucking spike in your cerebellum? Hit up Moose Body
Yeah,
Piercing.
Moose Body Piercing on all social media platforms. She's the person you want to go see. Go check her out. So, do you play basketball?
Yeah.
Where'd you play?
When I've played, as of late, I've been playing in like Lakeside because I've just had a mate that's needed me to fill in. I'm not on like a normal team like I would be in like scheduled. The closest thing I've been doing was the fantasy basketball, which is good. We set up like a full league. It was so good, and I would have won if the virus didn't. Oh my God. I came third, but I've always played like basketball or soccer pretty much just for years. So it's sort of just been, whatever. But this fucking year I've just been like the fill-in. Like everyone's like, hey, we need someone for soccer on Tuesday night. Done. We need someone for basketball on Saturday. I'm like, cool. Like, cause I can't always commit. So it's like good just to fill in. But
I don't think there's anything better than playing sport.
Legit.
I mean, there is, but
there's a couple of things we can't say on air.
But I don't know. There's just something.
Yeah,
there's not much that gives me the high I get of playing a basketball game.
Yeah. It's awesome, hey.
We play, Thursday nights in Morley.
Oh, yeah.
Getting thrashed. They've sort of dogged us a little bit. Obviously, since the virus, they lost out on quite a few teams.
Yeah.
So
heaps of people just pulled out.
Yeah,
really?
I don't know what's happened. They had 3 divisions, and now they've moved. They've basically merged them into 2, and they've put us in the A division, and we're just getting thrashed week in, week out. Not thrashed. I mean, last week we lost by 4 points, so it's not too bad. But the week before was like 45 or something.
Oh, yeah,
it's not fun.
It's hard when we had a team in Sydney. It was such a good team. We had me, Bliss, D-Man, who's like the Bliss and Esso photographer and like my photographer. We just had like the whole, like it was pretty much a Bliss and Esso team.
Yeah.
Except Max lives too far away and so does Tarek. But, and then we had my mate Dan, who was, I didn't know this for ages, but my mate Dan Ewing, I was like, why does everyone come up to you? Like, why? Like, we'd just be out and everyone would be like, bro, can I get a photo with you? And I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, I used to be on Home and Away. And I was like,
what?
And so he was on the team as well. So it was like me, Bliss, Home and Away, man. And like, we were A grade and it was fucking hectic. We got like full Bliss and Esso jerseys and shit. Like, they got custom ones and it was so good. And I think we came like, I think we were like 3rd or 2nd by the end of the season. And it was good because at that stage, I was like, my fittest. 2018 was like, Iron Man John. I was like dunking like a fucking freak. Like I was just like never in game. The boys hold it over my head all the time. It's harder to dunk in a game than it is just fucking practicing. But yeah, we were like, man, I need that body back. I need that body back. I was doing like off the backboard dunks in warm up, like nothing. And I was like, like elbow on the rim. I was like, man. And now I'm just like 110 kilos and I'm like, fuck. I was only 10 kilos lighter then. But
yeah, man, same here, right?
I need it back, man. I need the abs back.
I don't have the height. I could get fit, but I just will never have the height.
Basketball's funny though, man. Like there's like when you look at what's the team at the moment. There's a couple of teams in the NBA that like they've got no players. Well, like the Rockets. I'm pretty sure after they traded
Capella.
Yeah, after they traded Capella, they had no one over a certain height. And they, obviously, like, it's funny, though. You watch the NBA and you're like, oh, like, those guys don't look that big. And then you see a normal-sized person walk on and you're like, oh, like...
You see the ref walk on and he's like half the size of everyone.
Yeah.
Considering the small players, like Kyrie Irving's probably got an inch or 2 on any of us. Yeah. I don't know how tall you are, but...
Well, I claim 6'4", but I think I'm 6'3". I think
so you're probably like Kyrie.
I'm the size of Steph Curry.
That's insane.
I'm the size of Steph Curry. And you watch Steph Curry on the game, you're like... He's so small, but he still dunks it like nothing. Like when you can, All-Star game still goes up for like a reverse, and oh man,
yeah, it's crazy when you when you think about it like that. You watch them on TV,
and you're like, whoa.
And then it's the same thing with the soccer. You look at them and you think that they're all around 6 foot, and then you find out like Eden Hazard is like 5'9" or something,
tiny,
like
man.
tiny.
Yeah. I think Ronaldo's pretty tall. There's like did you see that thing? It was on, I think it was on Facebook, and it was like a thing they set up in like London of like him doing a header, but they had him on like, and that's apparently the height he gets to on his jumps.
I think it is. I think they've worked it out that it is like the highest, like header, like vertical header, like there's ever been.
It looked completely photoshopped. I was like, there is no one that can, like, I don't reckon basketballers could jump that high. I was like, what the hell is that?
It's something stupid, like it's like 6'7" or some shit high. And
It's like-
he's just fucking jumped
You know what it
up.
reminded me of? You know that picture of Ashley Sampy standing on that dude's shoulders?
Oh yeah,
when
yeah,
he
yeah.
took
That mark
massive
back in the
screamer?
day, when he's just like, yeah. It's like his Photoshop just standing there. That was the best mark.
He's like a whole human size up in the air.
Yeah.
Oh man, Sampy was the goat. What was the other thing? Zion Williamson. Have you seen him doing the trials with his jumps and stuff?
Yeah, he's
No.
just a fucking
Like
freak.
the vertical leap, they had to put weight plates underneath. They had to put like 40 kilos worth of weight plates underneath to stack it higher so he could hit, like, because he was hitting the top, like over the top, the thing that they do at the combine. And I was like, and he weighs like 100. At one point, he was 130 something
He's
kilos.
a big guy, eh?
He's man,
It
freak genetics.
defies, almost just defying physics, like.
Like I know
He's
for
so
myself, 10 kilos heavier than like when I was at 100 and I was playing really well and I was boxing and all that sort of stuff. That extra 10 kilos is fucking massive.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, then I'll put a 20k weight plate on and then try and touch the top of that thing. Like, get fucked.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, no
that's
shit, eh?
freak shit. That's why he's on the big bucks, man.
How tall is he?
Like 6'7" or something.
Yeah,
eh?
he's not huge, but well, it's funny. 6'7's massive, but it's like compared.
Yeah.
That's why I
Compared
love
to when
Jordan,
you got like
man. I'm
Jamal
like,
McGee and shit, and they're like
Yeah.
6'11" or whatever the fuck he is. Just, I don't even
Muggsy
think I could
Bogues.
comprehend how big 6'11" would be.
I've got a mate that's 7'2".
Fuck.
He's in a couple of my video clips. Some call him Tiny. Shout out to Tiny. He's not tiny.
Oh, is he the one in the Aussie Rock
Yeah.
video clip? Yeah,
Big
he is
motherfucker.
tall as fuck.
7'2", bro.
And it like pans across to him and then just goes up.
He's just he's such a dork. I'm like, bro. I'm like, when the camera comes along, I want you to lift your glasses up and wink. It's gonna be cheesy as fuck. And he's just like, the camera comes across and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, no, I did it. I was like, all right, we don't have time. That's fine. That'll
Keep
do.
it in.
Yeah, keep it in. Keep the shot. That was the funniest day. Everyone that rocked up for that video started like drinking emu at like 10. And I was like, I've never even had an export. I was like, this I want to see what this magical nectar's like. I had one at a gig the other night. I was like, it's just water.
Man,
I know.
yeah, I was
it's
gonna
so
say,
easy to drink,
I was
man.
gonna say, I think I had started drinking exports from, I think it was it Babushka that used to have them for like
$6.
$6 or some shit.
Good old babushka.
And that's where I started drinking them. And now, yeah, it's
Bro,
like fucking water.
They're great.
Yeah.
I was like, because I like beer, but like I don't drink much. But I'm like, if I'm gonna drink, I just want like a lagery thing that's not. I'm not into the like, the twice spun IPA pale
Yeah.
dragged out of a shoe. Fucking
Yeah.
nah.
Just give me a Swan draft.
yeah,
or
just
something.
yeah. It's like VB. I drank VB, and I was like, VB's good. Why does everyone shit on VB? What's wrong with people? I was like, fucking wankers. Like, I don't know. This is from the non-drinker, but hey, don't judge me on my drinking tastes.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just-
some people do go way too far with their beer sort of.
Have you seen the
Entrepreneurial
big
women.
hole beers? That sounds like
what?
a weird thing to say. The big old beers. No, there's like like a normal can, like you can a V,
Yeah.
rip it open, it's got like the little hole there. My mate was getting all these I don't know what you call them, craft beers in Sydney, and like you rip the top off and it's like the hole's like that.
Oh, really?
And I'm like,
Turns like into a cup. basically.
slutty beers. What's going on? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
weird, man. I was like, he'd come home because we lived above a bottle shop in Sydney, and it was like it
Dangerous.
was like a nice bottle shop. So I was like, oh, they just have wine tastings every Friday, and you just go down there and try all of these 7 times. But yeah, he'd come home with like rainbow coloured can with this, and it's boot milk lager
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
hills of Norway, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's drink it, man. It's got a big hole. It's great. It's weird, but I don't know. Fuck,
Yeah.
we've gone on some weird tangents.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what
I
it's
just
all
like
about.
like you. I just like a normal
Yeah,
beer.
just a regular vanilla beer. Just stay.
Don't say that because there's
Then there's
a
vanilla,
vanilla
beer.
beer.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't think I've had
Nah.
a good craft beer yet.
Nah, man.
Someone told us I think Coerce said Biggie
Yeah,
Juice. That's
Coerce
like
is real
entry level
into it.
craft beer, and I tried that. Don't insult Biggie's memory like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Call it something else.
Shit juice.
Yeah, it's a bit. I think as far like the furthest I'll go is just a normal IPA,
Yeah.
which is like they're kind of a little bit tangy, and
a
that's
little bit
about
different.
it.
It was
Yeah.
like the Coopers, the green Coopers.
Cooper's Green's
That's
pretty
pretty
much.
much like, I'm like, yeah, that's different enough.
Yeah.
Or like Fat Yak when I was younger or something. Like that was fuck, I had some bad times with that. I'm glad I don't drink that much anymore. It's just, there's so many memories associated. Now I'm like, I was having wine with like dinner the other night. We like made some pasta or whatever. And I was like, I'm a fucking adult, man. I don't remember the last time I've like thrown up from drinking. I was like, I just drink red wine now. And I'm like, glass of Redders after the gym. What? I was like, I'm getting way too old.
Somewhere along the lines, it stops becoming like drinking a blackout and it starts becoming like drinking just to get a buzz. And then it's like, I've got a bit of a buzz. I'm going to go on the waters and just calm down a little bit.
It's just, oh man, I remember being like, I got kicked out of school pretty much when I was, I'm not kicked out of school. They made me leave under dubious circumstances because I had my eyebrow pierced and I was a bit of a rebel. And we went to the after party and I was like 16 years old. I got kicked out of my pre-apprenticeship in panel beating because I was smoking on Smoko and on the back of a scooter while we were driving, and the ash went in my eye, and I blamed it on a welding spark. And then like I got, and my boss is like, there's no welding spark in your eye, mate. You're talking shit. And then I was like, I was smoking a durry. And then so he, I lost my pre-apprenticeship. So I was on Centrelink, just living my best life as a 16-year-old. And didn't really drink, didn't really do much. My mates that I was with at the time were pretty sus. And like half of them now have like, been to wonderful places. But it's like, I told the boys, I was like, all right, here's my card. One of the boys was like, well, no, none of us were 18. One of them was sort of 18, looked 18. So I was like, here goes my card. Go into the bottle shop, just grab whatever you want. Just spend $300. That's all my Centrelink money. Go for it. And then so he rocks up with like a carton of beers. None of us really even drank beer. A bottle of like vodka and a bottle of like whiskey or rum or some shit. And so we rock up to this Christian school after ball party thing at this rich ass house in like Kingsway, and we're there, and oh man, it was like the most hectic night. And the dude's dad's like, so do you guys drink for like enjoyment or what? And I was like, yes, purely enjoyment. I love the flavors and the aromas that come out. It's exquisite. And so we're just like, caused mayhem, and like my mates like stole from the house, and it caused like
that's always the way,
bro. It like caused like this massive like people were like, we're gonna kill you. You did this and that. I was like, bro, my friend's dodgy as shit. This don't, it's true though. You judged on the company you keep. But
you're all sinners.
Yeah, you're dirty sinners, dirty hellboys. And like my best mate was like passed out in the park, and everyone just walked off. And I was like, mate, are you okay? He's like face down in the park. Just picked him up, and like he's a light guy, so just carried him home and put him in a car where he slept for the night. And man, this is why I left Perth, because I was just like into the fucking wrong crowds. Fucking but
it's like that, eh?
It's ruined alcohol for me, man.
We had I think the one like thing that I had to stop drinking was Woodstock, because I threw up in my sleep twice from Woodstock, and Woodstock only.
And you'd stay asleep?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dangerous. I was like, I probably would have been maybe 17, because I remember I was playing soccer. And it was our semi-final for like a tournament or something. And I went out to like some some kid's fucking party the night before. Woke up in the morning to obviously get up for the game, and I'm like freezing cold. I'm like, what the fuck? And I've like woke up, and all I had was like black vomit on the fucking pillow and all on the floor. And I've just straight away gone, holy fuck, man.
Soul.
It's just poured out of me. I was like, fuck, like, I've just threw up in my sleep and slept through it and had no idea. And I was only, like 16, 17. And from that point onwards, I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not drinking Woodstock. And I'm definitely not drinking to that extreme again.
It's one of those things that like,
because that's so
kids
fucking
think they're
dangerous,
bulletproof, man. Until that happens, right? Like, I think we've all probably had that story where you're like, you've drunken way too much of one spirit or wine or whatever. Like beer, you get it. Like when you have 30 beers or something, you're like, all right. But like, I think there's always that one spirit where you're like, you've gone ham on, and then you never can smell it again. It was like me with vodka and stuff, and it's like,
I think with beer as well, it kind of it takes a while, because obviously you're sort of working on like 3 to 4% usually. it kind of takes a while to build up. So you do have like 12 beers before you're fucked.
Yeah.
Beer sort of
when
makes
you're at
it
a
more
party
like
and you're
sloppy
drinking,
and shit too.
Yeah.
Like a bit, not sloppy, but you just get like a bit more slurry and shit. Whereas the most asshole-ish behaviour I've ever had, it's always been spirits.
Asshole-ish. Yeah, nah, for sure.
Like
spirits bring out the devil in you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just,
And you have, like in the space of you having 6 beers, you could have 6, mixed drinks where you've poured way too much spirits in for what you're actually drinking.
Or you're drinking the lolly water shit.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's just like, oh.
Yeah, like Smirnoffs.
I love cruises.
And shit. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's probably why they do them in fucking 4-packs. Because if you have any more, you're fucked.
But you got to think, like, when in life do you ever drink that much of something?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not here like, oh, mate, sorry, just finished this water. Like, if this water hadn't been drunk by now, you'd all be like, and this was beer, you'd be like, you're sitting on it. What are you doing? Like, it's going room temperature, mate. What's wrong with you? And there's 2 more down there. Hurry up. Yeah. Whereas I've had like 10 mils of water, and I'm like, I'm quite good. It's like, what the fuck?
I know, if you smash back 6 bottles of Coke, you'd probably throw up.
Yeah.
Like, anything really at that extreme, you're going to be fucked.
Plus, you wouldn't watch someone do that and go, oh, what a fucking machine.
What a legend.
Just knock back 3 cans of Coke
it's
and
such a
shotgun
stupid culture, eh? It's like, he just put a tube up his ass and chugged a whole beer. My man. It's like he drinks a 600ml Coke in 2 seconds, and you're like, you diabetic fuck, what's wrong with you?
No shit, eh?
Oh, man. Yeah, that same night where all hell broke loose, I forgot that I had given my girlfriend at the time, so I was 16, she was 14. I'd nicked some like leftover drinks from my uncle's house from where my cousin had like her 18th, and there was like Ruskies and like cruisers. And my girlfriend at the time, like good little Christian girl, like never drunk. And I was like, oh, I have like, here, like just have these, like sip on them.
Have 19.
Have this bag of meth. No, like legit, she's like never really drunk before. And I was like, just, like don't scull them. Just put them in your cupboard and like, I don't know, if I can get lit on it,
Drink them responsibly.
Legit. Like, don't scull. Like, just have a straw. Like, I don't know, put it in a water bottle. And, like, I don't know, if you're watching a movie. Such a dumb thing to think that was going to be good in any way. And I get back from this party, and I'm the only one who has a house to go to. All my other mates are, like, sleeping in my mate's car somewhere. And so I go to my girlfriend's house. And I come home, and her mum's like, John, we need to talk. And I was like, fuck.
Oh.
And then like, it's like, she's in the bathroom. She's been thrown up for the last 5 hours. She's like sculled like all of them. She's like just gone, oh, mum's home. I'm going to go in the cupboard and just fucking neck these and like, I'll be fine. And I'm like, bruh. Like, so I came home and she's like, I'm not very happy with you. I got scolded by her. And then I was like, fuck me. Like, alcohol doesn't make anything better.
Yeah, no shit, eh?
She's in the bathroom throwing up for 5 hours, and you just turn around and go, weak as piss.
Good one, love, good one.
Yeah. I remember fucking getting like not getting caught drinking, but like my parents finding out that I was drunk for like the first time. And my mate's mum was like sort of a second mum to me at the time. And she's picked us up. We always used to go to like Currumbine. Before, like years ago, it was like the Currumbine cinemas, and then there was heaps of like just open bush, and then it was like the Maccas and shit.
Yeah. Oh,
and we used to go there every like Friday night as like 15, 16-year-olds and just sit out the front of a bottle shop giving people like $60 cash saying, oh, can you get us drinks? And they'd walk out with like a $20 carton and just keep the rest. And we obviously had, we were none the wiser. So we were just losing our money. And,
good business plan.
Yeah. And we used to go there and just literally walk back and forth from like Macca's to the cinemas, just drinking. And I remember like my mate had gone to like meet some girl, and like we'd all been split up, and he calls me and he's like, oh, like my mum's coming to pick us up. Like, you need to meet me now. And by this point, I was fucked. And I was like, shit, like, I've got to go home. And, like, it's only like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and my parents are going to be awake. And I'm fucked off my face.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, getting in the car, and straight away his mum's just like, have you been drinking? I was like, yeah. She's like, I can smell it on you. You're a fucking idiot, blah, blah, blah. And she was a fucking champ. She, like, pulls up at my house. And she's like, look, just go straight to your room. I'll go in and I'll talk to your mum. So I'm like, all right. Fucking Dad's watching the TV and I'm just like head down and he's like, Elliot, where have you been? And I just fucking ignored everything. I was like, I need to get to bed right now. And
it's the mouthwash. It's the mouthwash.
Yeah. And I just remember my fucking dad just coming in and just going off on one. And I was like sort of just at that point where I was like passing out. And I was just like ignoring everything he was saying. And then woke up in the morning and I was grounded.
And he still wake up in the morning, he's still there yelling at you.
Yeah. I was grounded for like fucking 4 weeks or something stupid. And I was like, man.
Yeah, I
never changed though. Carried on going out doing
just
it.
Keep going.
Yeah.
No, the first time I ever had really drunk more than like a sip of alcohol and actually got quite pissed was like, again, my uncle had way too many beers. I've told him these stories now. It's funny when you're an adult, you can just be like, I did this and that. Ha! Like you can't do shit.
You can't
now.
get in trouble for it
And
now.
you're like, yes. They somehow still ground you.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old.
Just disown you.
Yeah. But we ended up getting Han Premium or whatever it was, Han Premium Light from like his house, and I grabbed like 4 of them and just chucked them in my backpack and rocked up to this like, Christian primary school, Christian high school, rocked up to this this barbecue which was for something. And so we went down to the cricket nets and I was like, oh boys, and then we all like had a sip and a bunch of the boys like spat out, this is fucking gross. We're probably like 12.
Yeah.
Like, this is gross. And I'm like, it's all right. No, I didn't like it at all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all right. Get back to the house and like everyone's like swimming in the pool and shit. And so my mate's like, we'll make shandies. And I was like, what's a shandy? He's like, just like lemonade and beer. And I was like, that sounds sick. And so we like made them and we just like sculled them. I was like, this just tastes like lemonade. This is the best. And then like just swam in the pool. Everything, like everything's upside down. Like you don't know which way's up, and like it's a shallow pool, so you're all good. But I'm like, man, we're dumb. Like survival of the fittest for sure. Like one of us just, it could have been bad.
I kind of forgot that that's like a thing, like drinking and then swimming. They kind of get, tell you never do it.
Yeah.
But you think of like the amount of times Australia Day,
in
Christmas, all that sort of shit. Everyone's in the pool.
Yeah.
Can you
drinking
get a whole song on it?
Yeah, legit. Swimming
yeah,
pools, man.
Talk about it.
Christmas, drank. Australia Day, drank.
Yeah, it's fucking good times. Definitely a lot of
Life
learning
lessons.
curves. Yeah, life lessons for sure.
I'm very glad I think that's the thing. I think that's why now I just like, from probably like early on drinking, I was like, this sucks. Like, and then like, I remember the first time I went clubbing, I was like, we paid $20 to get in here and now I can't hear what you're saying. Yeah. And how much did I pay for this beer?
Yeah.
And then I was like, why do you do this ever? And then like, so I put my foot down like from super young, and I like, for me to go to a club would have to be like someone's birthday that I like would die for. Yeah. Like there's no chance, or to play a show. Yeah. And I think that's why with music as well, I'm like, I would rather be the guy on the stage than be the dude in the crowd.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you go to a couple of festivals and you watch rappers and you're like, I want to be doing what you're doing. Yeah. Like I don't want to be here with
dealing with all these fucking
this chick
idiots
punching you in the back because you're fucking taller than her, and you're like, man, blame God.
Grow up.
Get a stool.
Yeah, fucking. Yeah, I'm not one for clubbing either, to be honest. Like, I did my fair share. In my opinion,
I went 3 times.
Yeah. But yeah, same thing. And like, I had issues with my fucking like vocal cords. So now, if I'm in a club,
for sure,
the whole thing of having to shout over everyone to talk, by the time I leave after like 3 hours, my voice is fucked.
I'm the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that natural sort of raspy voice, and then if I have a beer, no chance.
Yeah.
I have a beer and then I'm talking. That's why even after a show, like, there'll be writers before shows and whatever. I'm like, I'm not drinking any of that shit. I'm the dude at soundcheck with a tea. Yeah. I'm like drinking a chamomile tea, and everyone else is like, yeah. But I don't know. I'd rather feel like the nerves or the excitement or the whatever as well. I'd rather I don't want to like cut my buzz down.
Yeah, like numb yourself.
Take the edge off. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm like, it's like fuck when we did the video clip with Bitter, and Complete was there, the parachute song that me and Bitter did. We had to jump off the freaking ledge in Blackwall Reach, thing into the water.
It's a fucking big drop.
Bitter's like, bro, he's like, I'm so scared of heights, and he's just like, I need another beer, and I'm like, bro, just feel it, just channel it, like it's good, like to feel the fear and do it anyways. And he's like, fuck that, man, like, and Yeah, and then do you know Spinzer?
Yeah,
Liam?
yeah.
Liam's like, yeah, I'm gonna jump. I'm like, no, you're not. I'm like, fucking jump then. He's like, oh yeah, no, I will. And then like the whole time. So I tagged the boys in this thing the other day where this chick jumps off this this dude jumps off this massive cliff, and I was like, you fucking still wouldn't do it, Corey.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
That shit's fucking insane though. We didn't end up watching any of the videos, but we looked it up the other day, the cliff diving or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, the
it's
slingshot cliff diving.
Yeah.
What's that?
They like throw you out a slingshot off a cliff, and then halfway down you pull your parachute.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
And just pray that you live.
Is it above water?
No. Oh, yeah, no, this one was.
I think it starts
like
above water.
It was only
and
like a river though. Like it wasn't like an
Yeah.
open fucking,
depends how
lake or
good your aim is, I suppose.
anything. Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Have you been skydiving?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
went-
fucking love that.
I
I've
went
only
when I was
been
20.
once, but I've loved that shit.
It was good, yeah. My missus at the time bought me a gift voucher. I'd always talk shit about it, like, yeah, I want to dive with sharks, I want to skydive. And then she just like was like, all right, here you go. And I was like, oh shit, I have to do it.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, it was awesome.
Where did you go?
I was in Sydney at the time, so I went to a place called something skydive, but it was like in a place called Picton. So it was like 2 hours out of Sydney, just like over sort of farmland,
Yeah.
which was pretty cool. But there's definitely better places. Like we were in the Maldives like start of last year, and I was like, oh man, I want to skydive here so bad. But you also like, I don't know about safety regulations and shit.
Yeah.
You're sort of like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like with that fucking, what's that thing in Bali, that slingshot thing in Bali, and it just like throws you like, you're in like a little capsule.
Oh,
it just, like,
I think they called a
bounces you
slingshot.
around,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're in like that ball, and there's a person
Yeah.
sitting next to you.
Yeah.
And it's like
Fuck,
held
if
down, and
there's
it's like,
One place
Fuck
I'm not getting
that.
on an amusement
Yeah, I was
park.
gonna
Yeah.
say, fuck that, eh? Mind you, I went to, is it Waterbomb in Bali?
Waterbomb's meant to be
and-
good. I've never been to Bali, man. I'm like the
Neither
only
have
person
I.
from Perth. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Second person. Yes, my man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been twice. After the first time, I told myself I'd never go back, and then my partner at the
Hangover
time,
part 2.
yeah, my partner at the time, her family were going and sort of said, oh, do you want to come? And they had like a villa and shit, and I was like, oh, yeah, that'll probably be a better experience than the first time I went.
Yeah.
Because the first time we went was just for like my mates. It was actually like this time now, because it was his birthday a couple of days ago. But yeah, it's just like a boys' trip.
Yeah.
And it just involved way too much drinking. I mean, obviously it's cheap as fuck over there, but
Yeah.
like I was just chain smoking, drinking bintangs, and like not getting. I wouldn't get drunk, and I don't know
Yeah.
if it's because it's hot that
Yeah,
I'm
you're
constantly
it out.
sweating.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're just fucking smashing back bintangs, and you basically just keep going the whole night.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I think we were there for like 3 or 4 days, and I was just like, I want to be at home in aircon.
Well,
as well,
Bali's
'cause
meant to
it's
be
so
like there's part like because I've never been, like I've been to Thailand like 4 times, and they say that like I can see similarities between the two, but I'm like there's parts of Bali now that are like pimp though. Hey, it's like all the
Yeah.
influences are there, and it's and you're like they're probably the premiums and the prices are probably way up
Yeah.
as well, but
I think the party Bali is in like Kuta, and that's where it's like
just like rough as guts,
Yeah.
sort of bogan party
like
times.
3-legged dogs everywhere.
Yeah.
And like one of our mates, he got there a couple of days before us on his first night walking down the street, got mobbed by like 10, 15-year-olds, lost his wallet, phone, fucking all of his cash, everything.
That's the thing. Like when I go overseas now, I'm like, I don't know. I love like when I've been to like Bangkok and whatever. Like, you just, I don't know. In those cities, you just got to keep your wits about you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when I was in Athens, I felt like it's probably the first time overseas that I've felt like having to really watch everyone. Like, and Athens is pretty like known for like pickpockets and like being mugged and shit.
Well, Greece is like they've got like no money.
Yeah.
In Greece, like they struggle hard over there.
Instead of like Santorini and shit. Like I don't know how it's going with everything at the moment with like obviously lockdown and tourism's being pretty shut, and I think like Greece has got like a second wave or whatever. But like when I was in Santorini, like that place, you're like, this is all tourists. Like you sort of hear the Americans from 2 kilometers away, and you're like, oh yeah, we're in tourist town.
Well, that's like Bali.
Yeah.
It's just all tourism, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I never worry when it's like that. It's just when you're like, I don't know. Like I've been to Thailand down like dodgy back alleys late at night, but the worst thing they offer you is like a blowjob, and you're like, you're like okay. Like man, there's a place in Bangla Road in Phuket. Have you guys been to Phuket?
Yeah, I've been there once.
So Bangla Road, which is like Patong Beach, Bangla Road. Bangla Road's like the King's Cross or the dodgy strip of that, and it's like this one road that's like a dead end road, but it's just bars either way, and it's just girls and ladyboys like standing at the front of bars trying to get you in, and it's like by the time they've grabbed you, like they've already started a tab for you and bought you like a beer, and they've ordered a lady drink, which is like 200 baht, which is super expensive, like a $50 drink, but that's how they get paid if you don't sleep with them. So we spent like my uncle knew a guy that ran like some bar in Bangla Road, and we're all sitting there, and my girlfriend at the time had like gone to bed. She's like, "No, I'm gonna early start tomorrow." She was like a real early riser, and I was like, "Fuck that!" Like we're in Thailand. I ended up like playing with like a band. Like I play drums, so I was like playing with a band at like the rock bar and shit, playing like Linkin Park and Nirvana and stuff. And like as soon as you walked from where our hotel was down like 2 streets, fucking hectic. Like I had a dude throw an iguana on me. Like a full, like giant iguana, and I was like, "This is sick!" Like, and then as soon as I took a photo, he was like, 200 baht." And you're like, "I see your plan." You're like, "It's worth it. It's cool. I got an iguana on me." And then like little airsoft shooting ranges, and then you like walk down the road, and the guy's like, "Sex show, turtle show, razor blade show, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Excuse me, sir, did you just say turtle show?" And he's like, "Yes." I'm like, "What's a turtle show?" And he's like, "Well, they pull turtles out." And I'm like, "Oh,
what the?"
I saw a girl pull a budgie out of her vagina.
Yep.
Brought it out in the cage, put it inside herself, released it from herself, and it flapped around.
Bro,
and she
they've
put
got
it back in the cage.
They've got menus. They've literally got menus of all the fucked up stuff. And so we got there, and my uncle's like, "Well, it's your first time to Thailand. Like, we've got to go have a look." And I was like, "Do we though?" Like, I was like, and he was telling me how dangerous it is as well. That like, they'll close you in there, and then if you're not paying for like a lady drink at the bar or paying more money for whatever, they've got all the Thai guys out the back.
When you say a lady drink, is that like buy a drink, get a lady free?
No, that's to that's to buy a drink for a prostitute, pretty much. If you're not going to sleep with them. So like they'll be like, "Come in and buy her a drink," and it's 200 baht, which is, I can't remember the conversion now, but it's way more than it should be, because drinks over there are super cheap. But so like, you pay that amount, and if you don't want to pay that amount, or they'll say the entry fee is way more, once you're in, and if you don't pay that, they've got all the Thai guys out the back that'll kick the shit out of you. So there's some nights there, and you play like Connect 4 and pool and whatever, and they're all super good, and like they'll let you win one, and then they'll be like, "How about we play for some money?" And then you put a little money down, and then boom, smash you again, take your money. And there's like, man, it's so funny. One of the girls, every time I kept going to go to the toilet, she's like, "I'll come with you," and I was like, "No, you won't." No, but I can. And then like you're like chucking a piss there, and then you turn to your right, and it's like the girls that were dancing before are just pissing as well. And you're like, "This is hectic." It's such a crazy place, man. But it's
we had that in Bali with the pool thing.
They'll hustle you, man. Like,
man. And like it got to the point where I was like, one of my mates was just falling for it the whole night. Played like 10 games.
Lost 20,000.
And he was just losing everything. And I'm like, bro, why? Like, it's so obvious that you're just getting hustled, man. And it got to the point where I was trying to like keep track of games and, the balls on the table. And I'd literally turn away and look back, and it's like, okay, some dude's pocketed 2 balls here. Like, taken 2 balls off the table, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? But obviously you can't call them out. You're not going to be like, "You're cheating," because then there's 10 of them all just standing around.
Well, half the time it's the dudes that like, they might not have the luck with the ladies, so then they're just like, "Oh, this chick's paying attention to me. She wants to play pool all the time. Like she's pretty good looking, whatever." And they're just like, "Yeah, cool." And it's like, man, like it was hilarious sitting back at the bar, because I'd like lined out to the girls that were there. I was like, "I have a girlfriend." And they're like, "I don't care." And they're like, "No, I'm married." And they're like, "Me too." And you're like, you're like, I'm not having sex with you. And they're like, okay, we'll play, like, buy me a drink then, whatever. And you're like, "I'm happy to buy you expensive drinks all night. I'm not having sex with you, okay?" Like, and then you just sit there. So I'm sitting there with all the prostitutes. We're just hanging out, and we're just watching everyone like walked down, and like this like, you know, old fella from the UK is like, hey, and all the girls jump on him, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, and they're all like, that's a boy, that's a boy, just telling me, and I'm like, man. And it's just funny, like full turns into a rugby game, like because you're like walking down and the girls are like, ha! like in front of you, and I'm like, spin move, like, you know, like try and get off them, and like they try and just like hop. My cousin's boyfriend at the time had this little chick who looked like quite tall. She like took her giant heels off and was like, hey, yeah! And like dive tackled onto his back like a koala. It's like, you come with me, and he's like, no, like it's like the wildest place to go, man. So I hope they're like surviving with the tourism shit, because like that's how they make their money, man.
Oh yeah,
It's
I've seen
insane.
those photos that were floating around on Facebook of Bali.
Just dead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like some
that's
dude's
fine.
gone around, like obviously a photographer or whatever, and he's gone around taking photos, and it is just empty. You know, like all the streets, probably the same in Thailand, but all the streets are, you know, the roller doors just
All
the whole
shut.
way down, and just
Yeah.
little stalls, and they're all just fucking closed.
Yeah.
No one's out the front, just nothing.
No, it's insane, man. It's like, even just like not being able to go and play shows like interstate. Like Sydney's like my second home, so it's like whenever I go there, I can spend a week there, knock an album together, you know, whatever, go play a bunch of shows. My missus is from Brisbane, we go to Brizzy, see her, see friends up in the sunny coast, like just do the thing. Like we've got weddings we're missing out on, like fuck me. And I don't even know if that damn thing's real half the time.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's
like,
not. It's 5G.
Yeah, no, legit.
It's so,
Legit.
and you kind of forget as well, like being in, like, you know, being in WA.
Yeah, we've got it
is-
super good. Yeah.
You know, arguably one of the best places on earth right now in terms of, you know, safety and all that sort of shit from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, even then, it's like, yeah, is it real? Is it? You just don't know.
You hear all the stuff about like people, and there's so much politics tied into it with the whole like the election coming up in the US and stuff. But it's like you're trying to figure out, because they've said that hydroxychloroquine stuff actually cures it in the early stages. So if you're full blown and you're like you're in your 80s and you've got a respiratory illness, you're gone. But if you're, you know, 25 and you've just caught it, if they inject you with that shit, you're most likely going to survive.
Yeah.
So, and there's so much, like they're saying that it's all to do with like the US election, and then China's involved, and then Russia's involved, and then and you're just like, bro, like I'm just glad I'm in Perth.
Yeah.
Like I've got mates in Melbourne that are like, oh man, like how are you coping? I'm like, dude, everything's been normal here since June, July.
We've been fucking
you know?
lucky.
Man, I was like
Yeah.
getting like hell paranoid the other day, and I was thinking like, is there a reason why WA doesn't have it? I was like, if it is some kind of bio fucking, you know, chemical warfare shit,
Yeah.
I was like, you know, it kind of makes sense that they go at the big cities all over the world. So like, you know, your Melbourne, your fucking London, or whatever the fuck it is. I was like, is there a reason why WA's not got it? And I was like, I wonder how many of these like mining firms are owned by like Chinese. Anyway, it turns out none of them are. Like, but I was like looking up Rio Tinto. I was like, oh, I wonder if Rio Tinto is owned by some, you know, Chinese fucking billionaire.
Yeah.
Turns out they're not, but I was like, you know,
There'd
if
be
there were-
investment though, because like there's like China's being like, I invest in like commodities and shit like gold and silver and stuff, and so like there's been like massive buyouts from China. Like there's heaps of interesting stuff going on where they'll go to like Africa and be like, hey, we'll build you this port, and like this will help you with business and da 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 da, and then the country can't afford to pay for it, so they go, okay, cool, we'll take a 100-year lease off you. And then they've expanded to that part of Africa, and they've got a port there now. It's like all this crazy world domination shit, and I'm like, man, when are people going to realize we're on a floating rock in space that we're all on?
Yeah.
This is like our home.
Yeah.
You dumbass. Like it's like, and I think we are the most isolated city on Earth. That's the benefit of Perth. Like we've been social distancing since the beginning. But you know, like fuck, I just think we're. Yeah, I don't know whether it is to do with ties. They've said that Victoria, there's some Belt and Road initiative thing, which is like some Chinese initiative to like expand China, and Victoria was the only state that signed up to that, and Auckland was the only part of New Zealand, and they're the two places that have the virus.
Yeah,
They were saying
yeah.
there's like, I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
It's just such a deep fucking rabbit hole. Like
Bro,
I used to
yeah.
entertain conspiracy theories.
Yeah, yeah.
But the more I get into it, because like my old man
never
is
ending, eh?
like he's heavy into conspiracy theories.
Tinfoil hats, yeah.
And he's open-minded to everything.
Yep.
So I'm constantly getting messages about all this shit, and
My
it's
uncle
like
sends me stuff all the time. Yeah.
it's hard to be. It just
always
gets to a
uncles,
certain
though.
point where it's just
always like that member of the family.
Yeah.
it's just so much energy to
Yeah.
care about any of it, and at the end of the day,
Yeah.
how do we find out?
I've only got so many fucks to give, man. So
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly
pick
right.
what you're going to give your fucks to.
Yeah, conspiracies just get thrown around about everything. It's like, you know, with the coronavirus, there was that weird little fucking TV show that came out and they were on about it.
People spent months arguing over whether it was a bat
Yeah.
or a rat,
Yeah.
like it made a fucking difference.
Yeah.
Even with the bushfires, that was a big thing, that it was like
Yeah,
conspiracy
thing for the
that-
train.
for the fucking
That blew
train
my
run or
mind
whatever it
actually,
was.
because I was like hectic. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the exact spot, and I
Yeah,
was
the
like,
whole area just
Yeah.
worked. Like
I was like, if that is the thing though, I was like, people are so much more evil than we know.
Yeah.
I was like, that is fucked. It's
yeah,
like all
to
the
put that many lives at risk for fucking a train track.
Like I was flying to Adelaide to play the show with Draft, I think it was, and the lady next to me is like on her phone looking at the bushfire stuff, and she's like, oh fuck me, and I was like, what's wrong? She's like, oh, we just lost our house.
Fuck.
And I was like, are you insured? She's like, no. I was like, is your husband okay? She's like, I don't know. I was like, bro, like perspective is like the best thing in life. Hey, like if you ever think your shit sucks, nah,
Yeah.
like no way,
Yeah.
no way. It's just, yeah, I don't know, but yeah, exactly. You can waste so much time and energy on it, and at the end of the day, it's like, even if that is the case, how does that affect me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's pretty much, you know, how I always end up just kind of going, do I actually give a fuck or not?
And it's good to care.
Is it going to affect me?
It's like I had this client that I used to look after, and he's part Aboriginal, and he would claim it all the time, and then he would like shit on Aboriginal people, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Stand up for your culture.
Yeah.
Like I'm standing up for your culture. Like
Yeah.
I love to support everything I can, and then he's like, yeah, but it's not me, so I don't care. And I'm like, fuck me. I'm like, well, there's two types of people. It's like, you can be like this doesn't affect me directly, so I don't care. But it's like, still, we're all human, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
It
like,
just takes being slightly considerate.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You just have to be slightly less of a cunt.
Yeah.
And if you see someone,
Yeah.
I don't know, just
Call them out on their bullshit or their racist shit or whatever it is. Like, fuck me. But yeah, like with all the stuff that's going on there, it's like people are pretty evil, some of them. Like the whole, have you seen all the child trafficking stuff?
Oh,
the Wayfair thing?
Yeah.
Bruh. I
It's
saw that.
insane.
And like the whole, that's why there's all this funny stuff now, like with Ghislaine Maxwell, and it's like, oh, here's her new security guard for the night, and it's like Prince Andrew with like a moustache on. Here to look after you, madam.
Yeah. Well, there was the I don't know if you've seen it, but it got posted on Facebook. Again, don't know how reliable this
the
shit is.
list of all the people
Yeah, the
that
list of-
resigned because of her.
There was just a list of basically everyone that I think it was from Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
It was like what she'd sort of given out, like
Of the list, like of people she had shit on? Or,
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
just
much.
a lot
yeah.
of
And
like
they were all just like
ex-mayors and
yeah, they were like
former
ex-mayors and
politicians
Democratic
shit.
fucking party members and like all this shit, and it was just fucking a massive list, man.
That's what they're saying about Ellen and Oprah.
Yeah.
The ankle bracelets, and they're like, they're on house arrest. They don't have to quarantine. They're on house
Yeah.
arrest, and fuck, man, it's wild. But I'm like, that's why I'm like, I don't know. It makes you think about the future though as well. You're like,
Wait, hold up, hold
Yeah.
the fuck up. What's the?
oh wait, you don't know about the ankle bracelet thing?
No, I know that
Okay.
Ellen's getting shat on, and
Yeah.
I know that apparently James Corden is like the dude who's gonna take over, which I'm all for that because I
He's a
fucking
good
love
dude.
that. Yeah, I
he's
love
funny,
that
eh?
dude.
No, they're saying that. So there was like Tom Hanks, Ellen, and this is all conspiracy stuff, but like sort of makes sense. There's all these people. Like if you look at Ellen's comments now, there's like emojis of pizza under every single one. People are just spamming it because they're like, pizza goat, you're involved in the blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like, so there's photos of her, and she's like, oh yeah, I've been quarantined for whatever. And this was like at the initial start of the outbreak in the US. Tom Hanks was in Australia, and he was on quarantine. People are saying that he was actually going to be extradited to the US, and he was on house arrest for child sex stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's the only one I heard because someone told me about going onto his Instagram and he had like kids' shoes and like
you
like
see the glove
pacifiers,
thing?
Gloves and
with
shit like that.
When you type in SRC USA on Yandex, it's like child porn.
Oh really?
Yeah, and there was like a photo of that next. There was those letters scrawled on the pavement next to a photo. He used to take photos of like quarantine masks and gloves that he'd find, and that was on the pavement next. That was written on the pavement next to the glove, and then people started like searching into it, and they were googling it. They were like, "What's this?" And then they went on the Russian Google Yandex, and it was like, poof.
The thing that gets me though is if I'm a millionaire who's taken part in a child trafficking ring. I'm not taking any pictures like that can be traced back to me.
That's the thing.
That's the first thing you don't do.
Well, that's why, like, with that, the Wayfair thing, it's like the names of the cupboards were the names of missing kids and they were like $15,000 and stuff. It's like, well, if you're doing that, like, why would you hide it in plain sight? Why not? Like, are they doing that just to be spiteful?
Yeah.
Are they actually that dodgy and they're just like, fuck you guys, we're just going to put it in your face? And then, there's like, they've discovered all these kids' toys now, which are like, you put them in water and then they're wearing like corsets and stuff and all this like weird stuff.
I did see the one with the trolls.
With the button.
Yeah, with the button.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that's a bit hectic. But the Ellen thing, there's photos of her and she's got like a big bulky ankle in a bunch of the photos, and everyone's like, oh, she's on house arrest. That's her ankle bracelet. But people can Photoshop shit. Like, it's just, we live in this weird world now where like everything can be fake. Like, you can say something and it can be out of context and you can literally, your life can, you'll be cancelled.
It's the biggest crock of shit. I fucking hate cancel culture.
I like posted the other day, I never, like I said, I'm like the keep the blinders on thing. I don't get involved in like, the conversation, oh, who's the best rapper? Like, and have my 2 cents. Like, I'm a horse in the race. Like, why would I then say who's good and who's not? Like, if I'm involved in the scene, I'm biased. Like, that's for other people to say. And then it's like, what was it? It was the video of the cop, like, choking this chick in Melbourne.
And like, but not wearing a mask.
She'd been a rat though. She'd like spat on him, and like the cop's obviously trying to do his thing. But I'm like, bro, like, still don't choke a chick. Like, considering where the world's at right now, you shouldn't need to put your hands on anyone's throat. Like, the whole I can't breathe thing, like, that's not really where you want to go with. Like, if you're going to restrain someone, you're a male. You have the power to probably put a chick's hands by her side. Like, I showed my girlfriend, I was like, if you were spitting at me, I'd put my hand like that, maybe. I'm not going to choke you. And I was like, and I'd pull your hands to your side and blah, blah, blah. And anyways, these, it set off this giant thing. Because I was like, if you're a dude, don't choke a chick. Doesn't matter what happened before. If she spat on your face, unfortunately for cops, that's sometimes part of the game these days.
Well, like, they're trained to deal with that.
That's it. Yeah, at the end of the day, I guess it's part of their job. No one wants to be in that situation.
Flung at me as a carer.
Yeah.
Do you think I go beat up my clients? No. Like, it's like, fuck me. Like, it's
yes.
It's part of the job. Like, unfortunately, like, and that shouldn't be part of the job. Ideally, for cops, people should just be good. Cops should all be good. People should be good. There should be like a mutual respect there, whatever.
It's good. It's good versus bad at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I pretty much just said that, and I was just like, black and white. Don't choke a chick, especially with the way that the world is now. And then all these people are like, what about equality? What about this and what about that? Maybe, are you saying because she's a woman she can't do it? And you're also shitting on people that have been in abusive relationships, because I said, like, at the end of the day you can walk away. If it was a fight situation, there's no need, like, you could just walk away from a fight. And he's like, what about the people that have stayed in abusive relationships? And I'm like, fuck me, if I really want to say, I'd be like, don't stay in an abusive relationship. But like, you can't say anything. And then like, I just got like heap of love, heap of hate, and I was just like, I'm never opening my mouth online again.
That's why a lot of people don't speak out on things, because you could speak out for a cause and someone's gonna shit on you because you didn't speak about this,
that
or
area,
because of something completely unrelated.
And I'm like, man, this is all context. And then there's a photo, of course, of me on social media with my girlfriend, and we're like squaring up, and like she's choking me, and it's like our anniversary thing. I'm like, love you, no one I'd rather punch on with. Like, me and her are like that. And some guy's like, check out your profile, go back to the cheap seats, you fucking idiot. And I'm like, oh man, context, bro. And it's just
people are fucking idiots.
It's a crazy
culture. The whole cancel culture at the moment is just massive. I don't know if you're familiar with like Chris D'Elia and that whole situation.
I don't know what happened. I've heard about some controversy with him, but I don't know fully.
Basically, a girl came out on Twitter and posted a bunch of like receipts from like emails that had been exchanged between the two of them like years ago. What was it, like 9 years ago or some shit?
Yeah, it was a while.
Oh, it was like 2014, I think it was. And it's just like, you know, it's hard because he was definitely being seedy, but he's like, you know, what are you up to? Do you want to hang out and all this sort of shit? And the chick's going, oh yeah, you know, cool. And he's like, oh, you know, we should hook up or whatever. And then obviously she's posted this and gone, no, this is from 6 years ago. I was 14, and he was like, what, 32 or some shit.
And she possibly didn't say her age.
Yeah, so that's the thing. There's heaps of people that came out with these receipts where age isn't mentioned, and then there's been people that have came out with receipts where age has been mentioned and he's not followed through. But he didn't really stick up for himself. Well, he did. He put out like a public apology sort of thing, but kind of...
I don't even... Oh, yeah, I think he did.
He said he never knowingly approached underage women. And I think a lot of his argument as well is that, you know, these were all after shows that he was doing, which are 18 plus. So
he's assuming...
Yes, you know, underage chicks shouldn't have even been there. But it's kind of, you know, you don't really know... Because we were massive, like, Crystalia fans. Now it's kind of like, it's kind of like the R. Kelly shit.
It's hard, eh? Yeah,
I was a huge R. Kelly fan.
You
now
can appreciate
it's like,
them, and now you're like...
can't anymore.
Same with Dan Harmon from Rick and Morty. Did you see the thing he did?
Oh, no?
No, I've heard about it. I've
Watched
not
it
actually looked
yesterday,
into
bro.
it, but...
So it's pretty much a video of him. It's a sketch that he did in 2009 where it's gross. I won't go into the full detail, but it's pretty much... He created that Dexter show, you know, the murderer show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was like a co-creator on that. And so he was doing a spoof of a psychologist talking to a guy or something. And I didn't even watch the full thing. I just sort of skipped through and was like, okay, I don't, it was a 5-minute long thing. But from what I read after from things as well, it was saying that it's a spoof of like a psychologist talking to a guy, and the psychologist has like a power where he can go back in time. So he goes back in time and like fucks with the killers when they're babies. But the way he does it in the thing is like, he's like, take these sleeping tablets. He's like, so you can sleep while I do everything but sleep with yours or something. And there's like a doll there, and he like shows him pulling his pants off and stuff. And I'm like, bro, like, and there's obviously really dark humor in the world, but I was like, that's fucked.
Yeah.
And there's like scenes on Rick and Morty that, even though I think Rick and Morty's quite funny and clever in most parts, there's like that bit where like Morty almost gets like raped by that like dude in the bathroom, and he's like, come on, it's fine. And I'm like, that wasn't necessary, man. Like,
I feel really strange with like Big Mouth. I find Big Mouth to be very like,
it's hectic.
How is this like out there?
Yeah. I remember watching that and like feeling dirty after watching the first season. I was like, this is like too far.
Yeah.
I was like, me and my missus are watching The Simpsons now on Disney Plus, and as an adult, I'm like, The Simpsons is way better now. Like when I was a kid, I didn't get the humor as much. Like you're like, oh, cool, this is happening. But when you're an adult, you're like, that was good. Like whereas like Family Guy, South Park, out there full on, and I can't stand either now. Like when I was younger, I was obsessed and could do all the voices of Stewie and things like that. So it was great. But now it's like, now I watch The Simpsons and I'm like, this is probably like a good middle ground. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas the other shit was pretty like fucked, and now I'm like, it ruins someone for you when you find that shit. Hey, but like at the same time, every single one of us will have done something stupid online or said something stupid or inappropriate back in the day that would be like cancel culture.
100%.
Like when you're a kid and you're just typing random shit, you're talking to people and you're swearing and you're using terms you shouldn't use and you're doing whatever because you're just fucking 13 and you're on the internet and you think you're completely anonymous and you're taking the piss. And you send a dick pic to someone and then your face is in it, and then 20 years later, that hasn't happened to me. No, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like that sort of shit is like, fuck me.
Yeah,
like,
definitely, man.
And it's sad as well because it's like when people are cancelling people, I hate the term even. Yeah. Because I'm like, how are you cancelled? You can't delete a person. Like I get it, fair enough. You're saying your thing is cancelled. We're not, showing you any love anymore. But I'm like, if you're gonna cancel someone for something that they did when they were 18 and they were being a fuckwit, you're not accounting for growth. You're not accounting for like them maturing, making up for their mistakes, becoming a better person. You're saying that who you were back then, that save slot in the game, that's you. And it's like, man, I would beat up any other version of myself. Like my younger versions were fuckwits. There's no way I'd be sitting here today being like, oh yeah, I was cool when I was 16. There were, you know, there's little glimmers of who we are that we sort of mine away at, and we make that probably who we are, and we become a better person. But if you were to see like probably any of us at like 15, 16, you'd be like, fucking little rat. Like, what are you doing?
Definitely, man.
So
definitely.
That's why the whole thing's dumb. It's just like, you know, and someone will, especially with like the way that shit's getting so good with like the face app and like the deep fake shit, and they could just make you say whatever they want. They could take any words from what I've said today and piece it together like, I am a chicken fucker. What? But, and I've done it twice, but you know, whatever. That's just, who doesn't like chicken? Come on.
It's fucked, eh? It's, they're just out to get everyone, man. And they're all, the thing is as well, they're all like, not no-name people. They're
but it's true. They're tearing down people that they're either jealous of, or, you know, someone who's pursued something that they wish they did. And they're like, fuck you.
It's like I keep saying it gets thrown around all the time, obviously with the Crystal Air thing, and then Brian Callen, he was accused of like, what was it, like sexual assault or something along those lines. And he straight away put up a video and he's like, that's not who I am. It's never who I've been. It's all lies, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, at the end of the day, if you want to support me, support me. If you don't, you don't. But it's not true. And kind of hit the nail on the head there and then. But yeah, all I see is these comments just get thrown around of like, it's just everyone going, oh, they're trying to get to Joe, like Joe Rogan. And now even then, they, you know, accusing Joe Rogan now of like having like transphobic slurs and stuff in like earlier day podcasts.
Because he has like a debate with someone about it all, and
like he can go on his podcast, say that he believes in Bigfoot, and then a year or two later, like there's been certain conspiracies he's backflipped on.
Yeah, of course.
And that's all right. You can change your mind because you get information, like you said, you learn, you grow. But on this particular topic, because it's sensitive, no, there's no changing. There's no growing. That's the thing. Like, if you don't know from jump, you're a bad person.
You can watch Joe Rogan episodes and go, oh, this is like, it's like when he moves to Texas. Like, and they start a studio there and the studio looks different. You'll be like, oh, these videos were when he was in LA. Like, you'll be able to just go, okay, well, this was him then. And this is him now. It's like when I went to the Black Lives Matter rally in Perth with one of my mates. And like, because growing up, like I was the only white guy in my group of friends. So all I've known, like I grew up in, you know, North Perth, super multicultural area. My mum wishes she was African. She like literally looks after like African kids. And like even yesterday, she calls me up. She's like, I met this girl at the train station. Her name's Lisa. She's from Kenya. You know heaps of people from Kenya? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, I've just met her parents. We're going for dinner. Do you want to come and bring your girlfriend? And I was like, no. I was like, I was like, sorry, my mum's a fucking angel. But I was like, I don't know these people. And like, fair enough. Like just because I know someone, I was like, Mum, it's not racist, but you're just assuming because I know someone from Kenya that like that, they're like, they were very happy with that. I was like, cool. But anyways, like I posted, like my stepdad was from the Congo and everything. So like I've just like my life has never seen color. Like I've been friends with everyone, and if anything, I'd be like, I want to be friends with the black guys. I was like, I want to be friends with the black guys. Black guys are fucking awesome, man. They do everything better than we can. They dance better. They play sport better. They're fucking awesome. And like, so my whole childhood, like I was the token white guy. And like, so we'd all listen, you know, rock up to Galleria, dressed all gangster. I'm just this dude with acne and glasses, and all my mates are fucking built fucking dudes from Brazil and shit. And then so like I went to the Black Lives Matter march and I was like, fuck this. Like I'm going, like I'm just going to show some support and, you know, just be there and hear what people have to say. And, you know, since then I've learned that like the Black Lives Matter organization might not be super ethical, but I'm like, at the same time, I love what it stands for. I'm like, fucking everyone on this planet should matter. And like, if black lives don't matter, then no lives matter. You know, I'm like, fucking care about it. And I posted some like photos of people's signs that they had that like, you know, like racism, like why is this still a debate and stuff like that. Just, you know, blanket statements that I think the majority of people agree with. I lost like 100 followers that day. And I was like, fuck me, people are wankers. I was like, cool, go. I was like, I don't want you people on my page. Like
it takes nothing. It doesn't take time. It doesn't take energy to see something like that and go, Oh, I suppose looking at it from there, and yeah, okay, I can
Yeah.
understand. But everyone's straight away like, nah, well, I go to work every day. I've got to fucking pay for my family and my mortgage and this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
People are bitter that they have to,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm not fucking racist. I know a guy down the road. He's got
Yeah.
darker skin than me. He's alright, you know. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's hectic. I think that it shows, even like people that are close to me, like even my dad, fuck me, messages me and is like, do you know about the organisation? They're this and that. And like after doing some research, I was like, okay, fair enough. Like you're doing, like you've done some research on the organisation and they might not have ethical roots or whatever, but I was like, I'm not backing an organisation. It's not like I'm like, I love Apple. Like it's like I have a phone. It's like I'm not necessarily backing the organisation, but I love the sentiment behind everything.
Yeah.
And then he sends me some photo of like, did you know that Irish people were actually put in cages and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Dad, there's been lots of fucked up stuff over the years.
Yeah, no shit.
Like, you know, the Jewish people had it pretty tough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but right now we're talking about people who are dark-skinned and, you know, are being neglected and being killed in prison and wrongfully murdered on the street with fucking camera and shit. And then it turns out the thing he sent me anyway about Ireland was like a photoshopped thing that someone had like put together just to say that, like, you know, to detract from it, to be like a red herring to take away from the actual issue. And I was like, there you go, Dad. So I sent Dad the article about how that was all doctored and fake. And he's like, internet.
I've had to block a few people sharing like a picture of an Aussie soldier like walking off and like a rose in the corner, and it says like, you know, we fought for this country so yous can fuck out of it or whatever. And it's like, you know, just some weird blanket statement against Muslims or something with a picture of a soldier and a gun or or the Aussie flag, and it just
like,
it makes no sense. Like anyone who's sharing that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I'm like, we were literally like the fastest sperm. That's the only thing we have. Like, we didn't choose to be born here.
Yeah.
Like, we like, fair enough. Like, our ancestors did lots of fucked up shit and lots of stuff like that. But I'm like, I'm just neutral dude. It was a quick sperm, became a human. I grew up in Perth. I love everyone. I'm like, you have no right to like fuck, well, this isn't even our land technically. Our ancestors fucked it up. And I'm like, man, but we're here, so I'm just gonna make the best of what I've got and be nice to people. I'm like, fuck me, like I could have been born somewhere else. I could have been born in any country in the world, and then my whole outlook would be different and I'd be hated on and whatever. And I can see that. I can see that I'm just lucky that my family line somehow came out and I ended up here, and I don't have people trying to shoot me every day, and I don't have to like walk out, maybe in Forestfield. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't have to like walk out the front and worry about someone shanking me or something. Obviously in Kandoola you do, but it's just one of those things. You know, fuck, like that's why I don't get how people are so strongly opinionated against just liking people.
I know.
I
I'm like, why are you so bitter for, man? Like, is it because you don't like your job? Is it, you know, like there's all these like,
they're just miserable people. Like,
because you spent all your money on booze and now you can't afford to do like it's probably the smallest things. You know what I mean? It's like small lifestyle choices and shit like that, or just like they've grown up in a house where people are pretty grumpy, and so you're just mad at the world. So fuck me.
Yeah, definitely.
Cheer the fuck up. So I wrote Smile Shotgun, bastards.
This is something that I fucking noticed the other day, and it just made me think. Again, it sort of falls back to this whole coronavirus shit. Have you seen the sunrise live? How often do you watch the TV? Like, when you're at work, is the TV ever on?
I don't watch it much anymore, but I used to.
Is it the Today Show? Is that Sunrise?
No,
or is Sunrise
is
its own
Channel
show?
7. Yeah, it's its own,
so the Sunrise do those live performances. So I don't know if it's once a week or once a month, but like they'll pop up and it'll be fucking... Well, for example, this was that chick, is it Johnipee or something?
Oh, Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe, whatever her name is.
Dyslexia, the musical.
Jamaran.
Yeah, Jamaran.
Jamalam.
But she was performing, and I'm not too sure where Sunrise is based, but
They're Martin Place in Sydney. So when you're like walking through the middle of the city, you can like walk up to those windows.
Yeah.
Shit.
So it was broadcasted as live, and it was a performance of this Janada
Blah.
and it just threw me off because I was like, okay, we're in the midst of a pandemic. I'm pretty sure New South Wales isn't exactly in the best position, but they've got a live performance with like 100 people in like, you know, these sort of closed off like boxed areas where
they weren't outside the window, they were like in the studio.
It's like, so they got like a big stage with like, you know, a bit of a catwalk or whatever you want to call them, and these two like boxed areas of like fans or whatever that are, you know, obviously watching the gig, and it was broadcasted as a live performance, and I was just thinking, how is that?
So this was recent?
Yeah, this was last week. I put it in my notes because I thought
Shit.
I want to, you know, talk about it, but I was just thinking, how is that a thing? They're either lying about it being live, or they are doing it and
everyone.
somehow, they've tested everyone, or you have to, you know, be a
because
negative.
she's American, so she would have had to come here.
Yeah, and that's another
from
thing
the
as
States.
well.
Rent her own crowd.
Yeah.
Bring her own crowd from the States.
And they're all infected.
Yeah, because there was another one recently, and I want to say it was Usher, but I don't think it was Usher. But it was another, like, you know, R&B sort of superstar to some extent.
Manel Jalay.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And same thing. And I remember seeing that and I was thinking, that doesn't make much sense. Like, how is that
I think they just have to test the fuck out of everyone. I think that's the only way they make it work. And then they have to, like, they're probably all using the distancing app and shit. So then they're, like, probably calling them, like, the day after, like, yes, someone who was here was infected, so you're all fucked. To be honest, like, there's no want in me to perform if there's gonna be shit like that. Like, I played my first show this year, like the fucking 17th of July, which is fucked. Normally I would have had like 50 shows. Like, I have a track of like every single show I play for the year, like, because you've got to do like performance, you know, statements and stuff. And I'm like, I've done one this year, and it was, you know, it was funny at the start. You know, people stand at the back of the room and you're like, I'm not performing till you guys get up the fucking front, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And then after like halfway through a song, I was like, you're probably doing that because of coronavirus, hey? I didn't even realize. But I'm like, I wouldn't want to perform if there were any restrictions on that. Yeah. Like, if it couldn't just be a normal performance, I don't want to do it. Like, why?
Yeah, it's like, we're planning to go to Liquid Candy.
Oh, yeah,
and it's like, that's a dope show. But even then, part of me in the back of my head's just like a little bit skeptical. It's like,
a lot of people going.
Do I really want to be around, you know, 2,000 people, and then
like
we're
you say,
on
if
the
something
current
was to happen,
clip
of fuckheads that attended the show,
and
it's just us two standing there looking around.
Two of you in the middle. Liquid Candy!
Yeah.
No, but it's like that though. Like, fuck me. Like, I don't know. Even at the best of times, like, gigs put me off.
Yeah.
Like, when you're in a packed room, like, I've been to some fucking awesome shows, but it's like, you're in a packed room, and then you've always got that one dude that's like real stinky, or that dude that's like talking way too loud with his beer and spitting it all over you. It's like that times pandemic equals nah.
Yeah, no shit.
Like, it's not. Yeah.
Again, that's a prime example of where you want to be on the stage.
100% with like a giant fly screen between me and everyone.
Yeah.
Stops the bottles and. But
turns out you're the one with coronavirus.
Yeah,
and you just spat it over the front
and
row.
I know when I'm performing, because you've always got the lights there. You can see when the spit leaves your face. There's so many times I'm like rapping with someone, like trying to get them in the crowd to do stuff. And then I'm like, I've spat on you so many times. I'm like, if I had corona, like legit, if I was the sleeper cell who had corona in WA, everyone would be dead. I have worked like through this whole thing with so many people, and that's the reason I know I don't have it, because all of my clients, all of my clients that I work with are like super compromised. Yeah. So if I was sick at all, like, they wouldn't be here. But it's like, fuck me. I was always saying that. I was like, man, if there's a sleeper and it's me, rest in peace, Western Australia. But now they're thinking of doing shows. Have you seen that photo of like the live show, and then it's everyone on
in
like
England,
little square? I think so. They're in like little square stages.
Yeah.
And they're like
really?
spaced.
Yeah. I wasn't mad at it. Like,
yeah, it depends what you like to do at a festival, right? Like, if you like to be out the front, like rubbing bodies with old Gary, or you want to, you know, or you want to be in your own little thing with like some drinks and Like, to be honest, if you're not too far back, that would be dope.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Have
Just
a
be like
seat.
having a table at a club, except
Yeah.
you get to watch a performance too.
Yeah.
It'd be different for energy. They'd be like, get your hands up. And you're like,
How many people?
I'll find a
First
photo,
spread.
man. It's yeah.
So I was thinking, like, you know, if you're lucky you draw, and then you end up 100 meters back
yeah.
by
No.
yourself,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like waving over.
Then you
to
look like
someone
that
couple
wanker at a
meters away.
restaurant by himself. I'm waiting for a friend.
I did see that the Premier League are on about bringing crowds back,
Oh, really?
but they're going to ban.
That's the one.
Oh yeah,
There's just like little stages.
they're like little wrestling rings.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Okay.
some drunk cunt's just doing 619 to his
It's
best
just a
mate.
guy, going around each
Yeah.
one, conquering everyone, just pinning people.
Yeah,
I am
working his
the-
way to the front.
The row 17 world champion.
Someone just walks up while you're watching the show and lifts up the skirting on the side, pulls a table out, flips it up.
Oh my God, the sledgehammer JR.
Yeah.
Fucking jeez.
But
What-
yeah, they're on about bringing back crowds, but they're going to put a ban on singing and chanting. So obviously to
They're
prevent,
really trying, aren't
you know, spit and saliva and shit from spreading. But it's like,
They'll hum.
what are they going to do? They're going to, you know, pull one dude out for singing, and then the rest of the 30,000 are just going to fucking
Yeah.
do it anyway.
They're going to sing at the dude.
What's 50 fucking security guards going to do when there's
Yeah.
50,000 people there?
Fuck.
But yeah, I think they just need to keep. It's like what you were saying about NBA, how they're on about bringing it back to the bubble next season, just as
Just
like a
do
safety
that.
guard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just-
Yeah, especially places like that where they're copping it so bad.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird watching, like, to be honest, I haven't watched a game since being back in the bubble because it just feels weird. I still watch highlights, but I'm like, it's so weird, like Lil Wayne on like the screen,
Yeah.
like little people, and like it's all delayed. So
Yeah.
it's like after they score and there's like, ah! You're like, what the fuck's going on?
I'm just waiting for the day that it comes up of some dude who's like flopped his dick out or some
Bro,
shit.
I would 100% like organize it that me and a bunch of mates all wore a shirt with my name on it.
Yeah,
Just do that for
yeah.
promo and be like,
Yeah.
Johnipee,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like
yeah,
just
no
be like,
shit, eh?
new album coming soon, like fucking.
Yeah.
You got to make that work for you. I'm sure they've got like regulations and stuff that
Yeah,
of like what you
yeah.
can and can't wear.
But then again, it's like such a waste as well. Like we were watching the highlights last night, and there's like they zoom in, and it's someone's dog just in front of the camera. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Someone else probably wants to have that experience and watch the game or some shit,
Yeah, that's
and you're
it.
just throwing your dog in the front.
That was
Yeah.
like the AFL. Like I don't know if you guys watch the footy much, but it's like, you know, they had canned crowds for a while, so it was like, bro,
Yeah.
like turning it up of
Yeah.
them, boo, like, and there was a couple times at the start they were still figuring it out.
Yeah, just on an NPC.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
like-
Boom, woo, woo, woo. Yeah, like, boom. Yeah, but there was a few times they like got it wrong. Like
Yeah.
the ball would go out and it would be like a boom over, and they're like, "Yay!" You're like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, I think I would just rather it have nothing like
Yeah.
that. That's why the bubble was not too bad, because there's still probably 100 people in the crowd when you take into consideration staff and team members.
The guys
and
on the
shit.
bench make enough noise
Yeah,
as
exactly.
well. Hey, like, yeah.
And
Plus,
like,
you get to hear, I don't know, basketball sounds.
that's what I was going to say.
when they're like,
even
"Get
out
the
the
fuck
crowd.
out of here!" when they get the
Yeah.
rebound and shit.
Even watching like the soccer, and it's like for my whole life of watching football, you've never been able to hear the team communicate.
Talking, yeah.
And when you play football
It's
growing
like
up,
that.
the whole thing is team communication. So
yeah.
that now it's like you watch it and you can actually hear their like professional experience of
Yeah.
communicating with each other and shit,
I
and it
feel
makes
that.
it interesting.
It's like even like when I was younger, I played like AFL like a little bit when I lived in the country, and like it's a weird experience. It's the same with most sports. There's a lot of yep, here, done.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
yeah.
hot, get the ball, blah. Like
Yeah.
there's constant yelling and movement, and then and then there was a couple times I was like, oh yeah, that'd be a hectic experience being on like an AFL pitch with like 60 guys, and they're all running at you, and there's constant. You know, how would you even hear in the
Yeah.
normal games?
Well, in amidst all the you've got one dude just trying to take your fucking head clean.
Yeah,
Like,
legit.
sprinting at you.
Syringe.
Yeah.
It's like the UFC, like that's been weird, but it's also like Joe Rogan's been saying, he's like, there's something cool about it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, ooh, like you hear the actual hits and
Yeah.
shit. And
Yeah, that was. I seen something the other day. I mean, I like boxing, but I'm not hell I don't follow it. I want to say his name's like Ruiz. No, is it Ruiz?
Ruiz, who beat Joshua?
No,
The big chubby guy?
Nah, so it must be someone else.
Is it the young skinny guy?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Is it like David?
It's, yeah, he's like the new
Yeah,
prodigy.
basically. He knocked out some dude like a couple of days ago, yesterday, whatever the fuck it was. And yeah, just hearing the connection. This dude just goes in for like a fucking haymaker or like a jab or some shit, and he just counters and just catches him clean on the chin. And just fucking, yeah, just hearing it, man, it's like, fuck.
Right.
And this dude just goes back, smacks onto the fucking, onto the floor, and you hear everything. And it's like, that is scary.
It's crazy.
Like, what the fuck?
When I had my first fight, so I've fought twice as a boxer. In my first fight, I hit the guy, like it was like an exhibition, and it was all for charity. Both of the fights I've done have been charity fights. But the first one, I was fighting this guy from my gym called Brad, who was another PT, but he was like 45. And I was like 22. But he was good. Yeah. So he'd been boxing for years. I'd been boxing since they told me, hey, do you want to do boxing? And I was like, okay. So I'd been boxing for like 3 months. And I hit him with this hook, and it was like the loudest slap. And like, even with all the noise, there was like 1,000 people there. Even with all the noise, it's like, ooh, like, and so that's that thing. It's that moment where it's like, bang. It's like crickets. And you just hear, everyone's like, oh. And he like looked at me and was like, and I was like, yeah, gotcha. It's hectic, man.
Yeah, I've always wanted to get into boxing.
It's not worth the headaches.
Yeah,
the training is the best. The training, like the actual training when you're doing pad work, when you're working on like your movement, your head movement and stuff, and your footwork, like you'll get so fucking fit. But then when you start sparring, there's like a fine line between like I'm learning and I'm just getting bopped.
Yeah,
like because you're gonna, especially when you're starting, it's like surfing. Like the only time you get better at surfing is when you're up on the board. There's nothing you can do to simulate being on a wave, reading a wave, and getting better at it. It's the same with boxing. The only way you get better at actually fighting is by fighting. Yeah. Like all your training goes out the window. As soon as you hop in the ring, like you look at footage of you and you're like, what the fuck was I doing? What was that foot doing? Or, you know, like, or you just put your hands down and you let them bop you a few times because you're just angry because you're in the mood. I did that in my last fight, and I let the guy, I was just like, went to my happy place. My mate told me this thing. He was like, whenever I'm in a fight, he's like, I go to this tree house in my mind when I was a kid where nothing could hurt me, and that's where I go. And I sort of had this similar thing now where I just go like, I'm invincible. Like there is nothing you can do that'll hurt me until I die. But I like went to that place and I was just like, yeah. And this guy was like fucking, what did he have? 20 kilos on me. What was he? He was like 6'6". He's a big guy, ex-bouncer, big motherfucker. And I just went to my happy place and I was like, yeah. And like a psycho glint in my eyes, and he's like bopping me in the head, and I'm like, yeah. And then like ended up like winning the fight by TKO, and like was just like, yeah, my happy place, everything's fine. I was like, I should probably go see a psychologist.
You're just laughing like
just
the
like
whole time.
ripping my teeth out. And like, no, but it's just like, yeah, it's worth it. But then that fight, because I sort of got cocky, like my elbow's still fucked, and that was in 2018. I like had him up against the ropes in the first round, and just like he kept going for my head, so I was like, I'm going to go for your body then, because he had a bit of, you know, he wasn't shredded or anything. I was like, if I hit him hard enough, the body's fucked. And so I got him up against the ropes, and I just laid into him, like sort of being cheeky as well, put one hand behind his back to like pull him in. The ref couldn't see it, so I pulled him in closer to me, and then just was wailing into his ribs, and he was like, fuck. And then like the fifth or sixth punch, he put his elbow down, and I punched his elbow, but it was like with everything I had. And then so after I was like, oh, and after the fight, he's like, bro, did you like kick my arm? And I was like, what did you do to mine? He's like, I don't know. And like his elbow's like this, and this one for me was like, I couldn't straighten it. Fuck. And we're both like at the urinals after having a piss, like just like laughing, being like, this hurts. Like, like it's so good. And it's a good confidence thing as well. But it's like, I don't know. I think boxing's quite a dangerous thing, because like you can, if you were to use it in like a street situation, if you're really good, you can just evade people, and you can like duck and weave everything and just make them look stupid until they're like, they give up. But it's not like jiu-jitsu or something where you could just like hold someone and be like, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to hold you here and you can't move and you can't hurt me. Yeah. Like it's like boxing, you sort of going to probably hurt someone. And you're going to end up with a few headaches. You're going to end up with like a, you know, put your hands down, get a bit of a concussion. I was wondering why I had like, my sleeping pattern was all fucked for like a week after that fight. And then like, I was like, yeah, it's weird, eh? I felt so weird. And I just like went to sleep, and my girlfriend's like, don't go to sleep. Like, that's the worst thing you can do if you have a concussion. I was like, well, I don't know. And like,
I'm
I
tired.
dead set, like would have had such a bad concussion and just didn't treat it properly. And then like, sometimes I'll be writing a song and I'm like, do I have brain damage? I'm like, can I still rap this in double time? I'm like, why can't I think of a rhyme for that? What's
CTE.
yeah,
That's what it is.
legit. I'm like, it's just it got to that line because I was like, oh, I'm going to do a Thai fight next. I'm going to do like full like MMA fight, like Thai fight, whatever, like just so I can say I've done it. And then like my cousin's like, bro, he's like, nah. He's like, what's your career? I'm like, music. He's like, well, do that, dickhead. He's like, it's not worth it. He's like, the risk to reward, if you end up copping an elbow to the head and get like a brain injury, like I look after people with that. And I'm like, that's fucked. Yeah. You know?
You're like, but I don't want to pay the entry fee when I go to Thailand.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to fight off the Thai Muay Thai people.
I'm going, as soon as Corona's done, I've already organised that me and Joey Maker are going to Thailand for a camp for 3 months.
Fuck.
And we're just going to do it.
That's sick.
It'll be good. I'm just trying to find the spots that don't have staff.
Yeah.
It's like you read the reviews and like, awesome experience, but got pink eye and staff. You're like, maybe not. But like over there's getting super like modern as well. They're like, you know, Fitness Street in Phuket is now just like, they've just got protein bars and like, you know, like they'll make your protein shake and you hop up on your scooter and like it's getting full westernized and fitnessy. And like Tiger Muay Thai over there is like the biggest fitness complex on the planet, and it's like full giant shed warehouse, CrossFit gyms, boxing gyms, Thai gyms, Pilates yoga, all that sort of shit.
That's
so
wild.
Once Corona's done, I'm like, yeah. And it's so cheap. Live on there for like 3 months. I think, what am I doing? I think I'm doing a month, or can't remember. I worked out what it was, but I think even for a month there, accommodation and food, it's like 500 Australian.
Fuck.
And then you may as well hire a scooter the whole time, take 2 days off, and then just go nuts on your 2 days off and just travel and eat food and go drink beers and sightsee.
Yeah.
It's a cheap holiday, man. And I was looking it up. I was like, I wonder if I can get out of the country. And I was looking at it, and flights return. So it was 150 each way to Bangkok from here.
Fuck.
I was like, Perth is so cheap. Like from Sydney, it was like a fair bit more expensive. And I'm like, this is good, but you'll die. You'll get corona.
Yeah.
Nothing will be open and it'll be weird. So
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for this new part of the world to start. Like just,
It's just you sitting in a fucking one of those foot spas with the fish on just the dead street with a fucking
there's one
ball
fish
of
in there.
fucking...
There's no fish in there. The fish are on
All the
holiday.
fish are floating upside down.
The fish are in the water, bro. Yeah.
Nibbles on your foot, now you've got corona. Yeah,
It's transmitted through fish. I think
it's going to be interesting when the world gets back to normal. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I hope it does. There's so many people being like, "This is like a 10-year thing." Like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to use it to my advantage with like finances. I'm like, it's a weird time. Like, as long as you've got a bit of money, I'm like, you can invest pretty smart right now and sort of avoid. Like, a lot of people are just like holding onto their money. I'm like, bruh, banks are turned to shit. They're printing way too much money, man. Like, inflation's about to hit. I'm like, buy silver. That's my tip for everyone. Buy fucking silver. Turn into a pirate. Buy a pirate ship. Buy some silver.
Yeah, true.
You'll be sweet.
Yeah, fuck. I'll see how long I've been going for.
No, you're all good, man. 17 days.
Yeah, no shit, eh? What's that movie?
We're in the bubble.
Is it 17 hours? Oh, shit, we've actually hit the 2 hour mark.
Boom!
Fucking Jesus.
Yeah, that went quick, eh?
So,
well, if you want, we'll wrap it up.
I need to piss
I
like
was
a
about to
pregnant
say,
woman.
I need to drain the main vein.
Do you want to plug anything? Have you got shows coming up? Yeah.
Nah, so pretty much with shows at the moment, I've sort of, unless I'm offered them, I'm not chasing them.
Yeah.
I'm just pretty much just playing it by ear. I'm sitting on like 70 new songs. I've got like so many that are recorded and so many like, but I'm not going to drop an album at the moment. I'm just doing the Rust method. I'm just releasing a single every month, letting people sit on that. And then when things are sort of back to normal and I can tour, then I'll put an album together and go from there. But yeah, you can just follow all my shit at Johnipee. spelt like PEE, like I need to do. And everything's on there. So yeah, we've got a bunch of videos dropping, bunch of collabs with artists from Chicago, and I'm trying to just expand and just keep building and collaborating with artists who I fuck with. So that's happening, and that's about it, man.
Well, keen to hear all the new shit, that's for sure.
Awesome.
So
for sure.
Yeah, keep an eye out, keep an ear out. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And virtual.
Good day to you.
Thank
so,
you.
Yeah. Throw up some gang
Knock on
songs.
wood.
Well, yeah, hope you've enjoyed the episode, and we'll be back next week. Peace.
Peace.
Boys.